Chapter 37-23. Axe was completely infuriated by Lin Feng. No matter what. He was also an Emperor-level expert. Lin Feng. He seemed to be just an Emperor God. An Emperor God. He actually dared to humiliate him, an Emperor-level expert. Axe. Naturally, he couldn't bear it anymore. In his heart, his anger burned, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. "Kid, I'll trample you under my feet later and make you beg for mercy." Axe looked at Lin Feng fiercely. Then he leaped up. Powerful dermic powers surged out. He threw a punch at Lin Feng. Above his fist, the image of the endless ghost sand appeared. This divine ability. It evolved into endless ghost sand. It became one with his body. A punch was thrown. Its power was endless. Such a terrifying and tyrannical punch would definitely cause great damage to him. However, Lin Feng looked at Axe with contempt. He directly activated the dragon elephant arm. Then, he punched towards Axe. To deal with Axe, Lin Feng didn't use the dragon elephant arm at all. There was no need to use a sledgehammer to kill a pig. That was the reason. This kid didn't even use his magic power? Isn't this kid too arrogant? He doesn't put Axe in his eyes at all. Otherwise, why didn't he use his magic power? This brat seems to only be a celestial emperor, while Axe is a celestial emperor. The gap between their cultivation levels is huge. Even if this brat is a cultivation genius, with such a low cultivation level, he shouldn't be able to cause any harm to Axe. This kid is simply courting death. Let's see how Axe will deal with him later. The Sand Race cultivators began to discuss among themselves. In everyone's opinion, Lin Feng was courting death. At this moment, Lin Feng and Axe's attacks. They collided. Bang! Along with the earth-shaking sound of the collision, there was the sound of the collision. It was as if two ancient mountains had collided. Everyone saw. After Lin Feng threw a punch, it directly destroyed Axe's spirit technique. Then, Lin Feng's fist. It collided with Axe's fist. The sound of bones cracking could be heard. Subsequently, the news spread. Axe's arm was directly broken by the powerful force. Broken bones. It pierced through his flesh. It was exposed. Ah! Axe screamed in pain. His entire being. They were all sent flying. In midair. Alex. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood. There was a thump. Axe fell to the ground. He hugged his broken arm. Screams rang out continuously. Around them. Absolute silence. Axe was such a powerful figure. He was actually crippled by Lin Feng with a single punch. It was simply too unbelievable. What was even more unbelievable was that Lin Feng was only using the power of his physical body. He had crippled Axe. It was truly inconceivable. It was hard to imagine. If Lin Feng were to use his transcendence energy, how terrifying would his combat strength be? I told you! You are in my eyes! He was just a piece of trash. You didn't believe it. You just had to rush up and ask for humiliation. Lin Feng looked at Axe indifferently. He still had a high and mighty attitude. That attitude. It made many Sand Clan people want to rush up and teach Lin Feng a lesson. Kid! I didn't expect that. You still have such strength, but remember, this is the Sand Clan, not a place for you to behave atrociously. At this time, the thin cultivator looked coldly at Lin Feng and said sinisterly, "This person. He was the leader of these Sand Clan people. He was also the most powerful among these Sand Clan people." Lin Feng said indifferently, "So what if you are from the Sand Clan? My fist is powerful enough. The world is so big, where can I not go?" What? A piece of trash like you wants to be crippled by me? What did you say? This Sand Clan cultivator looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. He had never thought that Lin Feng would dare to call him trash. The surrounding Sand Clan people also looked at each other in dismay. They also did not expect Lin Feng to be so arrogant. This Sand Clan cultivator was not an ordinary person. He was the son of the High Priest. His name was Arihan. He had cultivated for 3,820,000 years and was at the peak of the Emperor realm. He stood there. It gave people a great sense of oppression. This was a kind of oppression of the realm. It was suffocating. And Arihan. He had never hidden his aura. So, everyone knew. Even though Lin Feng did not know Arihan's specific realm. But he definitely knew how terrifying Arihan was. However, under the premise of knowing how terrifying Arihan was, Lin Feng still called Arihan trash. It was really out of everyone's expectations. No one knew what Lin Feng was thinking. I said you are trash. Don't you understand human language? I don't have time to chat with you. Take your people and get lost. Don't disturb my peace. Lin Feng said indifferently. You are courting death. Arihan looked coldly at Lin Feng. He wanted to kill Lin Feng. I'm courting death? What a joke. I can take a piece of trash like you within 3 moves. Lin Feng said as he stretched out 3 fingers. He was as arrogant as ever and did not put an expert like Arihan in his eyes. Arihan was originally a gloomy person. But now, he was so angry at Lin Feng that his face turned ashen. He could not bear it any longer. Since you are courting death, then I will fulfill your wish today. Arihan looked coldly at Lin Feng. His body emitted an extremely terrifying aura. Then, Arihan. He walked towards Lin Feng step by step. At this moment, the guard commander who had heard the news led his men to surround the place. The guard commander said coldly, Lord Arihan, Lin Gongzi is our queen's distinguished guest. Don't go too far. This kid insulted me. If I don't kill this kid, where will my face go? If anyone dares to stop me, whoever dares to stop me is my, Arihan's enemy. Arihan said coldly. Pfft. Lin Feng could not help but laugh. Brat. What are you laughing at? Arihan looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, You are the son of the high priest? Even your father is only a subordinate of Queen Lilicia. Who do you think you are? You even dare to threaten Queen Lilicia's personal guard commander? Do you really think you are someone important? Or is it really as the rumors say, that you father and son are planning to rebel, so you are ignoring Queen Lilicia's majesty? Don't slander us father and son! When he heard the word rebel, Arihan's pupils suddenly shrank. He then shouted in a deep voice. Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. Talk of rebellion. It was originally a groundless matter. It was something he said casually. Previously, the high priest did not show any abnormalities. That was because the high priest was an old fox who was good at hiding himself. However, Arihan appeared to be a little flustered. Could it be? Chapter 37-24. Queen Lilicia did not hold the position of queen for a very long time, only a mere 1,000 years. It was said that it was because Queen Lilicia's father was plotted against. He was seriously injured and died. The Sand Race could not be without a leader. Most of the members of the priest order recommended the high priest to take the position of patriarch. However, Queen Lilicia's father stood his ground before he died. He helped Lilicia to the position of queen. This naturally caused the high priest's bloodline to be dissatisfied. The high priest was very ambitious. After losing that opportunity, he no longer had the chance to be patriarch. So, the high priest had been at loggerheads with Queen Lilicia ever since. Moreover, these years, it had become more and more obvious. He even dared to criticize Queen Lilicia in public. It could be seen how powerful was the high priest. However, although there were conflicts between the two sides, the high priest still prioritized the interests of the clan. And he had never shown any intention of rebellion. Perhaps, it was because the high priest, this old fox, had hidden too deeply. Brat! You can eat whatever you want, but you can't speak carelessly. Ali Khan looked coldly at Lin Feng and said. Lin Feng said indifferently, Have you done it or not? You are clear about it. Let's go. Ali Khan looked coldly at Lin Feng, then led everyone away. Lin Gongzi! Are you alright? After Ali Khan left, the guard commander stepped forward and asked. I'm fine, thank you for making the trip, Lin Feng said. Young master, you are welcome. This is what I should do. I will leave a group of soldiers to guard here later, in case Ali Khan comes to find trouble with you again, the guard commander said. Good. Thank you for your trouble. Lin Feng cupped his fists. After chatting with the guard commander for a while, Lin Feng returned to his residence. Before the guard commander left, he left a group of people to guard Lin Feng's residence. Lin Feng continued to try to break the restriction in his body. These days, Lin Feng had been studying the restriction in his body. The restriction set up by Queen Lilicia was very strange. Although Lin Feng hadn't been able to break these restrictions, he had been studying them for many days. Lin Feng still managed to find some weaknesses in these restrictions. Break these restrictions. It was only a matter of time. While Lin Feng was in seclusion to break the restriction, Ali Khan returned to his residence with a gloomy expression. As soon as he returned, someone came to inform Ali Khan. Send Arhan to the high priest. Arhan arrived at the residence of the high priestess, and found that a dozen or so priests who supported the high priestess were also there. Arhan bowed and said, Father! Yes. The high priest nodded. He then asked, You went to cause trouble for that brat? Arhan said, That's right. However, they were stopped by Lilicia's men. The high priest said, Don't bother with this person for the time being. Once we deal with Lilicia, this brat will also die. Now go out and greet some important guests. Ali Khan's eyes immediately lit up. Father, are we going to make a move? The high priest nodded. Ali Khan was ecstatic and then said, This child will go and greet father's guests now. Immediately after, Ali Khan quickly left. Lin Feng naturally did not know what was happening here at the high priest's place. Right now, Lin Feng was still breaking the restrictions in his body. Queen Lilicia's restrictions were really strange. Even a great master of array formations like Lin Feng found it quite troublesome to break them. However, fortunately, Lin Feng still found the trick to breaking these restrictions. Under his efforts, one restriction after another began to be broken. It took Lin Feng about 3 days. The restrictions set up by Queen Lilicia were finally completely broken by Lin Feng. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. After breaking the restrictions in his body, his magic power immediately recovered. The magic power in his body was like a surging river. It engulfed his entire body. A series of rumbling sounds came from his body. It was like a river surging endlessly. Shwa! A light flashed. The phoenix blood flew out. Because this drop of phoenix blood had been with him for too long, its effect was no longer as good as before. But this was only relative. The effect of the phoenix blood was still very shocking. Lin Feng planned to refine this drop of phoenix blood to increase his cultivation. He just didn't know. Could this drop of phoenix blood help him break through? Right now, Lin Feng was at the 8th layer of the Divine Lord Realm. And Lin Feng's own accumulation was too huge, so he had to break through. It wasn't easy. Lin Feng was already satisfied that the phoenix blood could help him break through a level. Lin Feng swallowed the phoenix blood. Then, he began to circulate the immemorial dragonesque elephant art. Under the refinement of the immemorial dragonesque elephant art, the phoenix blood turned into the purest energy. The pure energy was all absorbed by Lin Feng's body. And Lin Feng's realm also began to steadily increase. Very soon, Lin Feng's realm broke through to the 9th layer of the Divine Lord Realm. However, his realm's breakthrough didn't stop there. The effect of the phoenix blood. It was much stronger than he had imagined. Lin Feng's face revealed joy. Perhaps the phoenix blood could help him break through again? As expected. It was just as Lin Feng had guessed. The phoenix blood increased Lin Feng's realm by another level. Lin Feng's realm finally stopped at the 10th layer of the Divine Lord Realm. Not bad. Not bad. I'm only one step away from breaking through to the Immortal Lord Realm. Lin Feng's face revealed a satisfied expression. Next, he had to prepare for breaking through to the Immortal Lord realm. Of course, Lin Feng also knew that breaking through to the Immortal Lord realm wasn't easy. Because breaking through from the Divine Lord realm to the Immortal Lord realm was equivalent to breaking through a large realm, compared to breaking through a small realm. It was unknown how many times more difficult it was. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, he didn't directly leave the Sand Race. Because he discovered the Sand Race High Priest's plot. Lin Feng decided to tell Queen Lilicia about this matter. After interacting with Queen Lilicia, Lin Feng knew that Queen Lilicia's heart was actually quite pure. This woman gave Lin Feng a good feeling. Moreover, Queen Lilicia's first kiss was taken by him. No matter what. He should also remind Queen Lilicia, right? After Lin Feng came out of seclusion. Queen Lilicia had yet to come out of seclusion. Lin Feng's gaze looked towards the deepest part of the Sand Race. There was a huge stone tower. Lin Feng had seen it before, but previously, his spiritual power was sealed. Lin Feng was focused on breaking the seal, so he didn't pay too much attention to the stone tower. Now, Lin Feng's spiritual power recovered. His perception also recovered. He felt that the stone tower was extremely extraordinary. Chapter 37-25. The Absolute Beginning Era. Until now. It was too long ago. This was one of the first few eras after the start of the era. Some said that the Absolute Beginning Era was the third era after the start of the era. Some said that the Absolute Beginning Era was the sixth era after the start of the era. However, it was hard to say which era it was in. After all, it was too long ago. However, there was one thing. It was certain. The Absolute Beginning Era was definitely one of the most ancient eras. It was also one of the most glorious eras. The glory of the Absolute Beginning Era shone on the world. The immortality of the Absolute Beginning Era was hard to extinguish. The things left behind by the Absolute Beginning Era were definitely shocking. Perhaps. It was enough to shock the world. It was shocking. And in this era, there were basically not many things that had been passed down to this day. Time was enough to erase everything. Many supreme treasures from the Absolute Beginning Era were gradually destroyed in the long river of time. It was really not easy for the stone pagoda to be passed down until now. Can I enter the stone pagoda to take a look? Lin Feng asked. He wanted to enter the stone pagoda to take a look. Perhaps there would be a shocking discovery inside. To be able to enter such a place, it would be no less than a great opportunity. The guard commander said. I can't make the decision. Either the High Priest team has to discuss and make a decision, or the Queen has to personally write a decree. Only then can you have a chance to enter. The High Priest team was in the hands of the High Priest. To go through the High Priest team, entering the stone pagoda was obviously not realistic. Then, the only way was to enter the stone pagoda through the relationship with Queen Lilicia. Queen Lilicia was currently in seclusion. Therefore, he could not enter the stone pagoda for the time being. Moreover, even if Queen Lilicia came out of seclusion, would he be able to enter the stone pagoda? Actually, even if Queen Lilicia came out of seclusion, the probability of entering the stone pagoda was extremely low. Lin Feng did not think so. Queen Lilicia would let him enter the stone pagoda. Let's wait for the Queen to come out of seclusion, Lin Feng said. Actually, he no longer had any hope. That night, Yi Zichen the guard commander came to find Lin Feng. He also gave Lin Feng a piece of news that surprised him. Queen Lilicia herself wrote a handwritten decree. This handwritten order was the pass to enter the stone pagoda. Lin Feng did not expect that Queen Lilicia would write a letter for him to enter the tower. Has the Queen come out of seclusion? Lin Feng asked doubtfully. He hasn't come out yet. However, Her Majesty the Queen had once cultivated an avatar. This avatar was controlled by Her Highness the Queen's divine sense and had a part of Her Highness the Queen's consciousness. When Her Highness the Queen was in seclusion, this avatar would guard the stone palace for Her Highness the Queen. Today, when I learned that you wanted to enter the stone tower, I went to report this matter to Her Highness Queen Lilicia's avatar. In the end, Queen Lilicia's avatar wrote this order, the guard commander said. Queen Lilicia's avatar was equivalent to Queen Lilicia herself. Therefore, this order was written by Queen Lilicia. This woman actually agreed to let me enter the stone tower. I wonder what kind of attitude she has towards me now. Could it be that she has decided to fall in love with me with a kiss? Lin Feng could not help but ponder. Then, a smile appeared on his face. If it was really a kiss, then it seemed that his charm was really great. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks for your help, my lord." The guard commander revealed a smile. He hoped that Lin Feng would remember his kindness. It seemed that Lin Feng was someone who knew how to deal with people. The guard commander said, "Young master, there is no need to be so courteous. This is what I should do." Then, the guard commander took his leave. Lin Feng took Queen Lilicia's handwritten order and headed to the stone pagoda. Under the night sky, the stone pagoda emitted a layer of holy light. That layer of holy light enveloped the stone pagoda, making it look magnificent. It was exceptionally beautiful. Lin Feng arrived before the stone pagoda. He saw two old men sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the stone pagoda. They were the elders of the sand race. They were like two stone statues that had never moved since ancient times. Lin Feng arrived. These two people. They did not move at all. They did not even open their eyes. These were two extremely powerful existences, and they were extremely ancient. They should be one of the foundations of the sand race. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. It seemed that the sand race was much stronger than he had imagined. Two seniors. This junior has come with Queen Lilicia's handwritten order to enter the stone pagoda to cultivate, Lin Feng said. The two sand race elders opened their eyes. At the same time, they looked at Lin Feng. The elder on the left said, "Hand over the handwritten order." Lin Feng walked towards the elder. After arriving in front of him, he handed the handwritten order to the sand race elder. The sand race elder looked at it. Then he nodded. He looked at the other person. He said, "Open the stone pagoda." "Okay." The other sand race elder replied. Then, the two sand race elders formed seals with both hands. Incantation after incantation. Condensed. Those seals. Runes were condensed one after another. Those were runes. All of them flew towards the stone door. On the stone door, mysterious runes appeared. Those mysterious runes. They were like small golden dragons. Rumble! 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 The stone door. It let out an earth-shattering sound. Then, the stone door gradually opened. Finally, the stone door opened completely. "You can go in now," the sand race elder on the left said. Lin Feng cupped his fists towards the two sand race elders. Then, he entered the stone pagoda. After Lin Feng entered the stone pagoda, the stone door closed again. The descendant of the sovereign emperor race. A glint flashed across the aged eyes of the Sand Clan elder on the left. "Perhaps this is the will of the heavens," the Sand Race elder on the right said. "Yes." The Sand Race elder on the left nodded. The two of them did not communicate anymore. Instead, they closed their eyes. They continued to meditate. It was as if they had become two unmoving stone statues. This stone pagoda. There was a total of 70%. Lin Feng had entered the first level. The first level contained a large amount of immortal qi and was filled with stone chambers. Lin Feng guessed. This should be a sacred place for cultivation. Cultivating here, one could absorb immortal qi. Cultivation speed. One would be able to improve greatly. Lin Feng also realized. There was a sign outside each stone chamber. The front of the sign said, "Do not disturb." The back of the sign said, "No one." The first level of the stone pagoda had a total of 18 stone chambers. These 18 stone chambers were all facing upwards. In other words, within the 18 stone chambers, there were cultivators cultivating inside. Chapter 37:26 The second floor was the same as the first floor. It was also divided into many cultivation stone rooms. Lin Feng wasn't particularly interested in these cultivation stone rooms. He hoped that he would be able to find some of the opportunities he wanted in the stone pagoda. For example, some divine abilities, cultivation insights, or other things. The third floor. The fourth floor. The fifth floor. It was also a cultivation stone room. Lin Feng wanted to enter the sixth floor, but there was a powerful restriction on the sixth floor. The powerful restriction blocked Lin Feng's path. Lin Feng tried to break the restriction here. However, when he carefully observed the powerful restriction on the sixth floor, Lin Feng suddenly felt as if his head was about to split open. The restriction on the sixth floor. He couldn't open it at all. What a terrifying restrictive array! Even I am incapable of breaking the restrictive arrays here. It is hard to imagine, just what level did the cultivator who created these restrictive arrays belong to? Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. The restriction here was indeed too terrifying. Lin Feng was extremely curious. What exactly was on the sixth floor? As a result, the restriction here was so terrifying that it was simply shocking to the extreme. However, it made Lin Feng give up. He was really unwilling to give up. Lin Feng planned to continue trying and see if he could break the restriction on the sixth floor. However, this attempt was exactly the same as the previous one. The restriction on the sixth floor. Not to mention breaking it. He took a few glances. Lin Feng felt as if his head was about to split open. This feeling was simply worse than death. What a pity! Even though I know that there might be a huge secret hidden in the sixth floor, these secrets are ultimately not fated with me. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. He planned to leave the stone tower. However, just as Lin Feng turned to leave, suddenly, something shocking happened. Lin Feng's sovereign blood. It actually activated on its own. Every time it activated, the blood of a sovereign would emit waves of powerful energy. And these energies all merged into the restriction on the sixth floor. This is? Lin Feng looked at this scene in shock. He didn't expect this to happen at all. His sovereign emperor blood. Why would it change at this time? And Lin Feng discovered that when the energy from the sovereign blood entered the restriction on the sixth floor, the restriction on the sixth floor became weaker and weaker. This made Lin Feng feel even more confused. Could it be that his sovereign blood had the ability to break restrictions? After so many years, he didn't know that the sovereign blood had such an effect. There must be something strange. Therefore, Lin Feng felt that something was very wrong. There must be something strange. Lin Feng even felt that this abnormality, it was very likely related to his bloodline. Lin Feng thought of one possibility. Could it be that there was something on the sixth floor that was intimately connected to his sovereign emperor's blood? Therefore, was that why such a strange situation had occurred? Lin Feng didn't know if he was right or not. However, the situation in front of him made Lin Feng extremely happy. Because the restriction on the sixth floor was constantly disappearing. It wouldn't be long before the restriction on the sixth floor completely disappeared. When the restriction disappeared, he would be able to ascend to the sixth floor. At that time, he would know. In the sixth floor. What was it? An hour later, the restriction on the sixth floor was finally broken. Lin Feng entered the sixth floor. When Lin Feng entered the sixth floor, the restriction that had been broken appeared again. Then, the sixth floor was sealed again. Lin Feng didn't pay attention to the restriction that sealed the sixth floor again. His gaze. It was all on a skeleton in the sixth floor. In the sixth floor, there was a stone bed. And on the stone bed, a skeleton sat cross-legged. When he saw the skeleton, he was shocked. Lin Feng suddenly felt a sharp pain in his heart. Then, tears flowed down uncontrollably. What's wrong with me? Lin Feng wiped away his tears. Then, he muttered to himself. He didn't know what was wrong with him. Why? When he saw the skeleton, he would feel a sharp pain in his heart. Why would he cry? All of this. It was a mystery. It was his first time seeing that skeleton. Could it be that the skeleton is the skeleton of the ancestor with the sovereign emperor's blood? Lin Feng thought of a possibility. He couldn't break the restriction and come to the 6th floor. However, when he was about to leave, the sovereign emperor's blood automatically awakened. The mysterious power emitted from the sovereign emperor's blood. To help him, he opened the restriction on the 6th floor. All of these things. It seemed to point directly. This skeleton. It had a lot to do with the sovereign emperor's family. Since the beginning of the era, the sovereign emperor's family was extremely powerful. And it had been passed down until now. Lin Feng knew even less about the ancestors of the sovereign emperor's family. He only knew a few ancestors of the sovereign emperor's family. For example, the ancestor of the sovereign emperor's family, the master of gods, the sky-devouring demon master. The ancestor of the sovereign emperor's family who smashed open the undying realm with a punch, the sky-devouring demon emperor. Actually, even his understanding of these ancestors was extremely limited. He only knew a few things about them. Their life stories might have long been buried in the long river of history. At this moment, the skeleton sitting cross-legged on the stone bed actually emitted cracking sounds of bones rubbing against each other. Lin Feng saw it in shock. That skeleton? It actually stood up. Then, it walked towards him step by step. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng immediately felt a chill down his spine. He kept retreating. The scene in front of him was too terrifying. It simply made one's hair stand on end. An existence that had been dead for tens of thousands of years. Only a skeleton was left. Now, this existence. It was actually resurrected. It was too unbelievable. Anyone who saw such a situation, they would probably suck in a breath of cold air. But now, the restriction on the 6th floor had already sealed the 6th floor. So, Lin Feng had nowhere to retreat. The skeleton walked down from the stone bed. He looked at Lin Feng and actually said, "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. You're not dead?" Lin Feng looked at the skeleton in shock. Skeleton speaking, it was really a fantasy. But all of this, it was really happening in front of him. Chapter 37:27. When Lin Feng heard that, he couldn't help but be astonished. Now, he was finally certain. When this skeleton was alive, it was really an expert from the Sovereign Emperor clan. It was one of his ancestors. Descendant of the Sovereign Emperor clan, Lin Feng! Greetings, ancestor! Lin Feng bowed to the skeleton. There's no need for so many formalities, the skeleton said. It's a pity that I didn't record down the divine ability inheritance. However, the Sovereign Emperor clan doesn't need to pass down the divine ability inheritance orally. As your bloodline continues to awaken, you will gradually grasp many powerful abilities of the Sovereign Emperor clan. In fact, the most important thing is not what the ancestor passed down to you, but what you create yourself. Living under the protection of the ancestor, you will never be able to truly grow. Perhaps one day, you will be able to grow into a cultivator like your ancestor. But so what? In the end, you won't be able to withstand the erosion of time. Or perhaps, you won't be able to withstand some terrifying creatures. When he heard this, Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. This ancestor of the Sovereign Emperor clan was talking about some terrifying creatures. What kind of creatures were they? Lin Feng was puzzled. However, he didn't interrupt. Instead, he continued to listen to the ancestors' teachings. Only by creating your own Tao will you be able to surpass your ancestors and go further. Do you understand the meaning behind my words? The skeleton looked at Lin Feng. His eyes were empty. There wasn't even a ghost fire. However, Lin Feng knew. This unknown ancestor. He must be looking at him. Connected by blood. He told himself. He must be filled with many expectations. I understand what you mean, ancestor, Lin Feng said firmly. That's good, the skeleton said with relief. Ancestor, are there even more terrifying creatures that can threaten the strongest in the world? Lin Feng asked. There are some things that you don't know now. As your cultivation increases, you will come into contact with a new world. At that time, you will know many things. Yes, Lin Feng replied. Child, do you have a wife? Suddenly, the skeleton asked. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. He didn't know why his ancestor would ask him that. Lin Feng indeed had a lot of women. He replied, I already have a wife. Have you ever given birth to a child? The skeleton asked. Not yet, Lin Feng replied. The skeleton said, the stronger the bloodline, the harder it is to give birth to a child. Since the beginning of this era, our sovereign emperor clan's population has been extremely small. Therefore, child, you must cast more nets. If you cast more nets, there will be a net that can catch fish. Lin Feng rolled his eyes. He naturally understood what the ancestor meant by casting more nets. However, the ancestor's words were indeed reasonable. The stronger the partner, the higher the chances of successfully giving birth to a child, the skeleton said. Is there such a thing? Lin Feng asked in surprise. The skeleton replied, to my race, that is indeed the case. Yes. This junior will definitely remember that, Lin Feng said. To be able to see that there are still descendants of the sovereign emperor clan alive in this world, I can rest in peace. Child, open up your spiritual world and let your body relax. This skeleton contains a drop of my origin blood. Perhaps it can help you undergo a deeper bloodline baptism, the skeleton said. As soon as it finished speaking, the skeleton's body began to crumble into dust. It dissipated into the world. At this moment, Lin Feng. He was incomparably shocked. Lin Feng's undying bloodline had already undergone 3 bloodline baptisms. As for the sovereign emperor bloodline, it was still unable to undergo a second bloodline baptism. This was because Lin Feng needed to find the sovereign emperor bloodline's ancestral grounds. Perhaps there was a chance of obtaining the sovereign emperor bloodline. A second bloodline baptism. However, where exactly was the sovereign emperor bloodline's ancestral grounds? Lin Feng didn't have any clues. Lin Feng truly hadn't expected this. Within the Sand Race's sacred tower, it was actually able to awaken the sovereign emperor bloodline on a deeper level. Lin Feng hurriedly opened up his spiritual world and allowed his body to relax completely. Finally, the ancestor's skeleton was completely reduced to dust. A drop of blood essence hovered in the air. This was the sovereign emperor bloodline's origin blood essence. Swoosh! This drop of origin blood essence quickly flew towards Lin Feng. And then, it entered Lin Feng's body. It entered Lin Feng's sovereign emperor bloodline. At this moment, Lin Feng's sovereign emperor bloodline seemed to have been revived. Within his sovereign emperor bloodline, powerful ripples of energy emanated from it. After Lin Feng's sovereign emperor bloodline devoured the sovereign emperor bloodline's origin blood essence, it began to transform. This was a deep-seated transformation. The sovereign emperor bloodline's hope, the undying heroic spirit, a supreme technique, Yi Futian murmured. The secret of eternal life. Countless voices rang out in Lin Feng's mind. Those voices, it was like the voice of Lin Feng's ancestor. They were calling out to Lin Feng. The bloodline shackles in Lin Feng's bloodline. At this moment, they were opening. In Lin Feng's dantian, holy light quickly gathered. There seemed to be something. It was about to condense. When the bloodline awakened, it would awaken some special abilities. For example, when the undying bloodline awakened at a deeper level. A small golden person condensed in Lin Feng's dantian. When the undying bloodline awakened for the 3rd time, Lin Feng mastered the ability to be reborn. The sovereign emperor bloodline. It was also an extremely terrifying bloodline. To be honest, the sovereign emperor bloodline. It was even more powerful than the undying bloodline. The undying bloodline was not an offensive bloodline. The undying bloodline was a bloodline that healed injuries and was reborn from nirvana. Although the Undying Bloodline also had many powerful offensive techniques, these techniques could not be compared to the offensive techniques recorded in the Sovereign Emperor bloodline. Because, the Sovereign Emperor bloodline, it was an offensive bloodline. Since ancient times, countless powerful bloodlines had appeared. Many bloodlines had heaven-defying abilities. Their attack power shocked all the worlds. However, no matter how powerful the bloodline was, in terms of attack power, it could not be compared to the Sovereign Emperor bloodline. The Sovereign Emperor bloodline was this era. It deserved to be called the First Bloodline. And now, Lin Feng's Sovereign Emperor bloodline was undergoing a deeper level of awakening. Although he did not know what the holy light condensed in his dantian was, but Lin Feng knew, once that thing was successfully condensed, it was absolutely heaven-defying. 3 days and 3 nights passed. Lin Feng's Sovereign Emperor bloodline finally completed a deeper level of awakening. A powerful force surged out from Lin Feng's bloodline. That powerful force actually caused Lin Feng's realm to begin to rise. Soon, Lin Feng's realm rose to the peak of the Emperor God realm. Moreover, Chapter 37-28 Breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Naturally, it was not an easy task. However, at this very moment, after Lin Feng received the blessing of the ancestors' origin, everything seemed to be happening naturally. The barrier to the Immortal Emperor realm. It could not stop Lin Feng from breaking through. Bang! 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 He tried again and again. The dermic powers in his body surged like a torrential river. It swept through heaven and earth. There was a deafening sound. He tried to break through 49 times in a row. Finally, Lin Feng successfully broke through the barrier to the Immortal Emperor realm. Lin Feng's body began to condense the Immortal Emperor laws. His dermic powers. They were also rising steadily. However, this time, Lin Feng did not attract the Thunder Tribulation. Logically speaking, breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm should attract the Thunder Tribulation. Of course, the Thunder Tribulation that was attracted might not reach the level of the Great Heavenly Tao Tribulation. However, given Lin Feng's savings, the Thunder Tribulation that was attracted would definitely be extremely terrifying. However, right now, Lin Feng did not attract the Thunder Tribulation. As a result, he was unusually puzzled. Demon Lord! I have broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Why didn't the Thunder Tribulation descend? Lin Feng sent a voice transmission to the Demon Lord. He asked doubtfully. His realm stopped at the first heaven of the Immortal Emperor realm. Although he was only a beginner Immortal Emperor, he was still an Immortal Emperor. Lin Feng had officially become an Immortal Emperor realm expert. However, no Thunder Tribulation descended. It was extremely strange. The Demon Lord said, "There are 2 possibilities. The first possibility. The Stone Pagoda Weirin is simply too extraordinary. It helped you block out the Lightning Tribulation. The second possibility. Because the time you spent breaking through to the God Emperor realm was relatively short, and when you broke through to the God Emperor realm, the tribulation you faced was the Great Heavenly Tao Tribulation, so the Heavenly Tao is brewing a new Lightning Tribulation to deal with you. However, because the time you spent breaking through from the Emperor God realm to the Immortal Emperor realm was too short, the Heavenly Tao's new Lightning Tribulation had yet to be completed. Therefore, the Lightning Tribulation did not descend this time. So that's how it is." Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. No matter what the reason was, Lin Feng had broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm and didn't experience any Lightning Tribulations. This was an indisputable fact. Actually, Lin Feng, on the other hand, was looking forward to the arrival of the Lightning Tribulation. Because every time he transcended a tribulation, Lin Feng would benefit immensely from it. There's still another layer of space. I wonder what's on the 7th floor? Lin Feng looked at the staircase leading from the 6th floor to the 7th floor. The 7th level was still sealed by restrictions. The restrictions here. It was much more terrifying than the restrictions on the 6th floor. Lin Feng tried to break through the array. But he couldn't do it. As for the Sovereign Emperor blood, there was no reaction. Sovereign Emperor blood. The reason why he was able to open the restrictions on the 6th floor was because of the Sovereign Emperor blood ancestor bones. Obviously. The things on the 7th floor. And the Sovereign Emperor race. There was no relationship. Lin Feng walked towards the staircase leading to the 6th floor. Arriving here, the restrictions automatically separated. Lin Feng walked out. After Lin Feng left, the restrictions here. Then they closed again. Lin Feng walked out of the stone tower. The trip to the stone tower. The harvest was huge. The 2 old men guarding the tower looked at Lin Feng's back as he left. Their old eyes flashed. No one knew what they were thinking. Lin Feng returned to his residence and found out that Queen Lilicia had come out of seclusion. Hence, Lin Feng went to see Queen Lilicia. Queen Lilicia was as beautiful as ever. This woman. She was really a beauty in the world. Beautiful Queen, did you miss me? Lin Feng said with a smile when he saw Queen Lilicia. Queen Lilicia looked at Lin Feng fiercely and said, Miss you? Of course I miss you. I want to beat you up every day. As soon as she finished speaking, Queen Lilicia rushed towards Lin Feng. She threw a punch at Lin Feng. She wanted to teach Lin Feng a lesson. Now, Lin Feng's magic power had recovered. So he faced Queen Lilicia's attack. Lin Feng easily dodged Queen Lilicia's attack. Following which, he said, Your Majesty the beautiful Queen, someone as elegant as you, why do you have to resort to violence? This will greatly diminish your Majesty's beauty. Humph! Queen Lilicia couldn't help but snort coldly. Then she said, You actually broke this queen's seal. You are quite capable. Lin Feng said, I have to thank your highness for giving me the time to break the seal. Actually, I always knew that your highness had a crush on me and wouldn't make things difficult for me. How can you be so shameless? You actually have the nerve to say such words? Even the stone walls of this queen's palace are not as thick-skinned as you. Queen Lilicia said coldly. Not thick-skinned? How can I woo such a beauty like your highness? Lin Feng said with a smile. I see that you are unrepentant. If I can seal you once, I can seal you a second time. Queen Lilicia said in a cold voice. There was a big disagreement. She planned to seal Lin Feng again. Lin Feng said with a smile. Your highness' words to me are so deep? So deep that you are afraid of losing me and need to seal me to be at ease. Queen Lilicia couldn't help but roll her eyes. She gritted her teeth and said, Seeing that your cultivation seems to have improved, let me see how much you've improved. As soon as she finished speaking, Queen Lilicia was about to attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng naturally had no interest in fighting with Queen Lilicia. He hurriedly said, Wait. What? Do you have something to say? Queen Lilicia asked. Lin Feng said, There is indeed something important to tell you. I wonder if your highness has noticed that something is wrong with the high priestess. Queen Lilicia raised her eyelids and said faintly, What do you mean by that? Lin Feng said, Does your highness really not notice anything? Some people might really have bad intentions. Queen Lilicia said, If the roots of a plant are rotten, the rotten roots must be cut off in order for the plant to survive. However, when cutting off the rotten roots, one must be careful because if one is not careful, the roots that are not rotten will be cut off as well. When that time comes, the plant will die even faster. Hearing Queen Lilicia's words, Lin Feng instantly understood what Queen Lilicia was trying to say. It seemed that Queen Lilicia had already discovered that the High Priestess wanted to rebel. However, the High Priest was very powerful in the Sand Race. If they casually made a move on the High Priest, the Sand Race wouldn't be able to do anything. It was very likely that the Sand Race would fall apart. Therefore, Chapter 37:29. Darkness descended. Under the night sky, the endless ghost sand. It was filled with danger. More than a dozen figures flew towards the depths of the endless ghost sand. Shwa! The void split open, and a cultivator stepped out from the crack in the void. This cultivator was none other than Arihan. I am Arihan, the son of the Sand Clan's high priest. I have been waiting for you here for a long time, Arihan said. How are your preparations here? An old man said. This old man? His body was surrounded by golden light. He was actually an expert of the Kinwu people. Kinwu people. There were many branches in the myriad worlds. And the Kinwu people of the heavenly sage great world. It was definitely one of the more powerful branches. This branch. In the past, it was the tribe of the Kinwu people who followed the heavenly demon emperor. After the son of the heavenly demon emperor was born, the Kinwu people of the heavenly sage great world followed the son of the heavenly demon emperor. They hoped the son of the heavenly demon emperor could recreate the glory of the heavenly demon emperor. However, the son of the heavenly demon emperor died at the hands of Lin Feng. This matter. It caused a huge uproar among the Kinwu people. The experts of the Kinwu people naturally hated Lin Feng to the bone. However, the experts of the Kinwu people had never found a chance to deal with Lin Feng. Other than the Kinwu people. Among these experts there were also experts from the God-eating demon clan, the sacred god clan, the nine-headed blood wolf clan, the eight-winged demon clan, the ancient god clan, and other races. Among these people, the strongest was this expert from the Kinwu people. This person was called Jin Daoyuan. He was a holy emperor-level expert. As for the other dozen or so people, they were all emperor-level experts. Arihan said confidently, It's all ready. We're just waiting for you to arrive. Jin Daoyuan frowned and said, I heard that the Sand Clan has 2 old men guarding the tower. Their cultivation is unfathomable, and these 2 old men are supporters of Queen Lilisha. When they join the battle, I'm afraid it will be very difficult, Arihan said with a smile. Don't worry. My father has already contacted 2 of the terrifying creatures in the endless ghost sand. Those 2 terrifying creatures will attack the 2 old men guarding the pagoda. Great, that's great. These people all revealed joyful expressions. Arihan said, Capture Queen Lilisha and use her as a blood sacrifice. When the time comes, we will be able to open the 6th and 7th floors of the stone tower. These 2 floors hide great secrets. When the time comes, we will share these secrets. That's good. Jin Daoyuan and the others nodded. However, these people, including Ali Khan, did not know that Lin Feng had already opened the 6th floor of the stone tower. However, Lin Feng was unable to open the 7th level of the stone pagoda. The biggest secret of the stone pagoda. It was also hidden on the 7th floor. Sand Clan. In the side hall, Lin Feng sat cross-legged, familiarizing himself with his new strength. The Immortal Emperor realm was indeed different from the God Emperor realm. They were 2 completely different levels of combat power. In addition to the crazy increase of his magical power, what made Lin Feng the happiest was the deep awakening of the Sovereign Emperor blood. After the deep awakening of the Sovereign Emperor blood, Lin Feng's Dantian condensed a blade of the Sovereign. This blade of the Sovereign was no small matter. Because this blade of the Sovereign was condensed from an ancient killing weapon called the Blade of the Sovereign. Once the Blade of the Sovereign was activated, it could even communicate with the power of that ancient killing weapon. It was incomparably terrifying. Moreover, in the future, Lin Feng could also rely on the senses of the Blade of the Sovereign. Find this ancient killing weapon. If he could find the ancient killing weapon, Blade of the Sovereign, that would be too heaven-defying. Lin Feng knew how dangerous the Doomsday battle was. This was a battle that was almost unavoidable. If he wanted to survive this battle and even protect his loved ones, not only did he need to raise his cultivation, he also needed to find all kinds of top-grade treasures. Because these top-grade treasures all contain monstrous luck. After finding these top-grade treasures, these luck would also belong to Lin Feng. The stronger the luck, the more opportunities there were. The faster his strength increased, the more likely he would survive the Doomsday battle. Other than that, these top-grade magic treasures were very powerful. Lin Feng was now able to do 18 things at once. In the future, he might be able to do 100 things at once. He might even be able to do more at once. So, the more top-grade magic treasures he collected, the more top-grade magic treasures he could use at once in the future. At that time, the battle power he could release would be even more powerful. This would all help Lin Feng survive the Doomsday Battle. There was one more point. Between all things, there was a mutual reinforcement and restraint. No matter how terrifying the danger was. In fact, there was a way to resist this kind of danger. Collect enough top-grade magic treasures. Be able to deal with more dangers. Perhaps. Among the many top-grade magic treasures on him, there would always be a top-grade magic treasure that could solve the seemingly unsolvable danger in front of him. So, cultivators. While constantly raising their cultivation, they also had to constantly collect all kinds of top-grade treasures. The Sovereign Emperor blood of the Sovereign Emperor clan is the bloodline with the strongest attack power. How is the power of the blade of the Sovereign? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He felt that the power of the blade of the Sovereign should be extremely terrifying. Of course. Now was not the time to test the power of the blade of the Sovereign. The next day, Queen Lilicia came to Lin Feng's residence. She said indifferently, "Since you have already broken the seal, why don't you leave?" Lin Feng said, "I'm worried about my wife. If you dare to talk nonsense again, do you believe that I will break your bones?" Queen Lilicia immediately regained her queen-like demeanor. She looked at Lin Feng fiercely. This woman's temper was quite fiery. One word of disagreement, directly starting a fight. So Lin Feng changed his words before Queen Lilicia went berserk. "I mean, future wife, humph!" Queen Lilicia snorted coldly. However, this time, she didn't refute Lin Feng again. She said, "Today, the High Priest came to find me and said that there will be a priest meeting tomorrow to discuss the matter of the sacrifice." The priests of the Sand Race were equivalent to the elders of the other forces. And the High Priest? He was equivalent to the Great Elder. "Is there something wrong?" Lin Feng asked calmly. "In the past, the matter of the sacrifice would only be discussed on the fast day. And now it is the fast day. There is still half a month's time," Queen Lilicia said. The fast day was a relatively special day. On this day, the clansmen would often bathe, change clothes, and eat vegetarian food for 3 days. Then, they would worship the ancestors. And the fast day of each force was different. When exactly was it set? It was the day that the upper echelons of the force had decided after a discussion. After the fast day was set, this day would be used every year in the future. And now, the High Priest proposed to discuss the sacrifice half a month before the fast day. Chapter 3730. Lin Feng said, "Could it be? Does the High Priest plan to make a move tomorrow?" Queen Lilicia nodded. Lin Feng said, "This person is so bold. Ambitious. He should be punished." Queen Lilicia said coldly, "This woman. She was actually a decisive woman." However, Lin Feng felt, if the High Priest chose to make a move, he would definitely be fully prepared before making the move. Lin Feng said, "Although I don't have much contact with the High Priest, I feel that he is very sinister and cunning. Furthermore, he is very cautious. Since he wants to make a move, he will definitely be fully prepared." Queen Lilicia said, "I am also clear about this. However, if the High Priest wants to usurp power, how could it be so easy? It's still not too late for you to leave now. If you don't leave now, you will also be implicated tomorrow. TSK. Didn't I say earlier? At this time, how can I leave my future wife and leave alone?" Lin Feng smacked his lips and said. Queen Lilicia gritted her teeth and said, "Your mouth is very annoying. If your mouth wasn't so annoying, your character would still be passable." Lin Feng said, "Look at how unprofessional your words are. What do you mean by having a bad mouth? I clearly said the truest thoughts in my heart. Humph! If you dare to speak nonsense again, I'll beat you until your teeth fall out." Queen Lilicia waved her fist and couldn't help but snort softly. However, it was very difficult for Queen Lilicia to scare Lin Feng now. On the contrary, Lin Feng felt that the slightly angry Queen Lilicia had a different flavor. Of course, if a person was beautiful, no matter when, it was very pleasing to the eye. Just like Queen Lilicia. No matter when or where. They were all so beautiful and moving. Adjust your state today. Tomorrow, there might be a fierce battle, Queen Lilicia said. Good. You go back and prepare well, Lin Feng said. Queen Lilicia nodded. She still had many things to deal with. Therefore, he didn't stay long at Lin Feng's place. He quickly left. Lin Feng, on the other hand, was meditating in the stone hall. He hoped to adjust himself to his best condition. At night, it was eerily quiet. Outside the Sand Clan's ancestral land, some terrifying life forms could be seen passing by from time to time. They were terrifying creatures that lived in the endless ghost sand. Those terrifying creatures would not enter the Sand Clan's territory. Every night, they could all see the figures of those terrifying creatures. Lin Feng seemed to have sensed something. He opened his eyes and looked ahead. The stone hall was not lit. It was pitch black. In the darkness, a middle-aged cultivator stood there. The middle-aged cultivator had his hands behind his back. He was looking at her. Lin Feng suddenly felt his blood run cold. That existence. Who was it? He had arrived at the stone hall, but he hadn't even noticed it. This was too unbelievable. When Lin Feng stood up, only to discover that existence disappeared without a trace. What's going on? Why did it disappear? Lin Feng was puzzled. Just now, it was clearly standing there. Why? In the blink of an eye, it disappeared without a trace? Could it be an illusion? Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. He thought of a certain possibility. Of course. He also thought of another possibility. That figure. Perhaps it was the imprint of the stone hall? Exactly. Lin Feng couldn't tell. The night passed quickly. The next day, Lin Feng met up with Queen Lilicia. He followed Queen Lilicia. They went to attend the priest meeting together. Sand Clan. The meeting hall. 29 priests, including the high priest, had all arrived. These priests. 18 of them supported the high priest. Only 10 of them supported Queen Lilicia. Your Highness, this is the priest meeting of our Sand Clan. We are going to discuss the matter of offering sacrifices to our ancestors. What do you mean by bringing an outsider here? A priest who supported the high priest was the first to speak. That's right. Even if you are the queen, the ruler of the Sand Clan, you can't go against the rules of the Sand Clan time and time again, right? Your Highness, you are going overboard by ignoring the rules of the Sand Clan. You are looking down on us priests. Don't forget that we priests have the right to supervise Your Highness. The priests who supported the high priest sneered. Although there is no precedent of bringing outsiders to the priest meeting, there is no rule of the Sand Clan. But there is no rule in the clan that says we can't bring outsiders to the priest conference. Although it wasn't written clearly, but everyone knows that it has already become an unwritten rule that we can't bring outsiders to participate in the priest conference. Even if it is not written in the rules, we should abide by it and not break a rule that has been followed for so many years. A priest who supported the high priest sneered. An unwritten rule that is not written in the rules is not a true rule. It's not a real rule. The priest who supported Queen Lilicia retorted. Both sides. They quarreled fiercely. The high priest suddenly spoke. Enough. Let's not argue about this matter anymore. The moment the high priest said that, the priests who supported the high priest immediately shut their mouths. The high priest looked at Queen Lilicia and said sinisterly, Your Highness, we have always been curious about the 6th floor of the sacred tower. What exactly is there in the 7th floor? According to the ancestors' words, the thing inside. It seems to be very beneficial to our clan. We hope that Your Highness can open the 6th and 7th floor. the thing that the ancestor left behind. It can bring good fortune to our Sand clan. Queen Lilicia said indifferently. Didn't the high priest say that we are discussing the sacrificial ceremony? Why are you talking about the sacred tower? The high priest said indifferently. Naturally, we have to talk about the sacrificial ceremony. However, before that, we can talk about other topics that we are more interested in. According to the ancestors' words, the item in the 6th layer of space is preserved by our clan for the descendants of another clan. The item in the 7th layer of space can only be opened when the clan is in danger of being exterminated, and that item can be brought out. Queen Lilicia said. The high priest sneered. If our clan continues to prosper, doesn't that mean that we will never be able to open it? Now that the 5 decay of heaven has appeared, perhaps it won't be long before the world extermination war arrives. Your Highness, please take out the thing in the sacred hall and let us see what it is. This way, even if the world extermination war arrives, we will be prepared. The ancestors' rules cannot be violated. Queen Lilicia said. Rules are dead, people are alive. The ancestors' rules are not necessarily correct. Your Highness Queen Lilicia, do you think that this old man's words are correct? At this moment, a voice came from outside. More than 10 cultivators. Chapter 37-31. The people who had entered the hall were none other than the myriad races. They were the helpers the High Priestess had found. The one who had spoken was Jean Daoyuan. Jean Daoyuan? A peak expert of the Sage Hall. Among the myriad races. His status was extremely high. Who are you people? Queen Lilicia's face darkened slightly. At this moment, the High Priestess smiled and said, Your Highness, these people are my friends. The High Priestess has led so many people into our Sand race. Did you not report to this queen? Queen Lilicia's voice was cold. The High Priestess said, Your Highness is busy. Thus, such a small matter did not inform Your Highness. Queen Lilicia said coldly. Then, why have these people come here? Don't tell me that they have gathered here just to visit the High Priestess. The High Priestess said indifferently. My friends also want to see what treasures are in the sacred tower. You betrayed the Sand race. Queen Lilicia looked at the High Priestess furiously. The High Priestess waved her hand. In an instant, formation runes intertwined. The hall was sealed. High Priestess, are you trying to rebel? The expressions of the High Priestess who supported Queen Lilicia could not help but darken. Then, she shouted coldly. Ha ha ha, how can you say that I'm rebelling? The weak are prey to the strong, and only the fittest survive. How can our Sand race develop in the hands of such a woman? When can we walk out of the endless ghost sand? The glory of our Sand race should illuminate the starry sky world. Everyone, if you submit to this seat will lead you to rebuild the Sand race's glory. The High Priestess laughed loudly. Now that things had developed to this point, the High Priestess, clearly, she no longer had any scruples. She had completely fallen out with Queen Lilicia. Impudent! You bastard! How dare you betray Her Highness? You will die a horrible death! You bastard, you have let down the old patriarch's kindness in the past. You have wild ambitions, you deserve to die 1,000 times. The 10 high priestesses who supported Queen Lilicia could not help but curse with righteous indignation. Especially when they thought of how the old patriarch had saved the high priestess's life several times. And now, the high priestess had betrayed Queen Lilicia. These priests were burning with rage. The high priest sneered. Cursing is something that weaklings do. High priest! It was too early for him to be proud. So what if you invited these experts? I can get in touch with the 2 pagoda elders now. Once the 2 pagoda elders attack, all of you will die. Queen Lilicia said coldly. Roar! Roar! At this moment, an earth-shattering roar came from outside. Queen Lilicia tried to contact the 2 old men guarding the tower. But he failed. This caused Queen Lilicia's expression to become unsightly. The high priest sneered and said, I've long been on guard against those 2 old bastards. Therefore, I've reached an agreement with the two terrifying creatures in the endless ghost sand. They will help me deal with those two old bastards. The creatures in the endless ghost sand were abnormally terrifying. He wanted to cooperate with them. He would definitely have to pay a huge price. It was unknown what price the High Priestess had paid to invite the two terrifying creatures from the endless ghost sand to help her. Of course, no one cared about this. The current situation. It was obviously extremely disadvantageous for Queen Lilicia's side. Brother Jean. Before the death of the previous patriarch, he passed part of his power to Lilicia. So, this woman Lilicia is not to be underestimated. You and I will work together to suppress her. Don't kill her. We need to use her as a sacrifice to the Holy Tower, and then open the 6th and 7th floors of the Holy Tower. The High Priest said in a deep voice. Good. You and I will work together. It's enough to suppress her. Jean Daoyuan nodded and stepped out. The rest, kill without mercy. The High Priest shouted in a deep voice. Then, he rushed towards Queen Lilicia. And Jean Daoyuan. They also charged towards Queen Lilicia. The rest. They began to besiege the 10 priests who supported Queen Lilicia. Kid. Your dog life. I'll take it. Ali Khan looked at Lin Feng with a sinister smile. He faced Lin Feng. It was simply monstrous killing intent. He had not continued to find trouble with Lin Feng before. It was because he was waiting for today. Now, he could finally kill Lin Feng. Ali Khan was unusually excited. Ali Khan held a war spear in his hand and pierced towards Lin Feng. He wanted to directly pierce through Lin Feng's chest. Then, he attacked Lin Feng. He was in midair. Swish. A light flashed in his hand. The black dragon sword flew out. It was held in Lin Feng's hand. Go to hell. Lin Feng held the black dragon sword and directly slashed towards Ali Khan. Lin Feng, who had broken through to the immortal emperor realm. His battle strength increased greatly. Amir Ali Khan. What was that? Powerful magic power surged into the black dragon's sword. Inside the black dragon's sword, waves of dragon roars could be heard. As Lin Feng's cultivation increased, the power of this supreme treasure, it also increased greatly. Clang. Accompanied by that sonorous sound, Lin Feng's black dragon sword directly slashed onto Ali Khan's war spear. A powerful force suddenly erupted. Ali Khan's perlicue split open. He couldn't hold the war spear in his hand at all. As a result, the war spear in his hand, it flew out of his hand. And Lin Feng's sword, it didn't slow down at all. It directly slashed towards Ali Khan. Ali Khan didn't expect this scene at all. He originally thought, with his cultivation base, he could not do anything against Lin Feng. He still wanted to kill Lin Feng. How to kill Lin Feng? Who would have thought Lin Feng would be so powerful and terrifying? It was shocking. No! Ali Khan cried out in horror. His shout was loud. It immediately attracted everyone's attention. Everyone couldn't help but look over. They saw Lin Feng slashed at Ali Khan with his sword. Little bastard! Let's see if you dare? The High Priest's eyes almost popped out as he threatened loudly. Lin Feng ignored the High Priest. That sword of his, it brazenly slashed down. Puff! A tearing sound. It was suddenly heard. Ali Khan, the son of the High Priest. He was directly split into two by Lin Feng. At this moment, the battle had just begun. Ali Khan was killed. It was truly shocking. It's you're Lin Feng, the human race's Lin Feng. Suddenly, a great emperor of the myriad races couldn't help but exclaim. He actually recognized Lin Feng's identity. What? He's Lin Feng? The great emperors of the myriad races couldn't help but be shocked. You're Lin Feng? Jean Daoyuan's eyes suddenly darkened, and his killing intent surged. Because, the son of the Sky Demon Emperor, he died at the hands of Lin Feng. This matter made the Qingwu people incomparably furious. They wanted to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces. But they never had the chance. Now, Lin Feng actually appeared here. "Don't kill this little bastard! Capture him alive!" Jin Daoyuan shouted in a deep voice. "Yes, Lord!" Immediately, there were 5 or 6 Emperor-level experts. Chapter 37-32. These great emperors of the myriad clans. They were all top experts among the myriad clans. Now, they were attacking Lin Feng together. Naturally, it was no small matter. However, Lin Feng was not afraid. Because these great emperors were only at the Emperor realm. The Holy Emperor realm. Perhaps they could make him fear them a little. The Emperor realm. It was difficult to hurt Lin Feng. "Kid! Our myriad clans have been looking for you, but you know how to hide. You actually hid in the boundless ghost sand. No wonder we couldn't find you after searching for so long. However, today, no one in the world can save your life," an Emperor realm expert of the myriad clans said with a sneer. These people. They were all experts of the Sacred War Alliance. So, against Lin Feng. It could be described as hating him to the bone. One by one. They wished they could cut Lin Feng into pieces. Cut him into pieces. Attack. Merciless. A powerful divine ability. It was directly brewed. Towards Lin Feng. They charged towards him. So many Emperor realm experts besieged Lin Feng. In everyone's eyes, Lin Feng was naturally no match for these experts. "Humph!" Lin Feng snorted coldly. He directly used the Space Shackle divine ability. Then, it suppressed the few great emperors who were besieging him. The divine ability passed down by the Space God. It was indeed terrifying. Even though these great emperors were all Emperor realm experts. However, when they were enveloped by Lin Feng's Space Shackle divine ability, their movements were also greatly restricted. Their speed plummeted. And the divine abilities they used. They were frozen in midair. How is this possible? Several Emperor realm experts looked at Lin Feng in horror. The battle strength that Lin Feng displayed was too terrifying. It deeply shocked them. Let each and every one. They all felt their hair stand on end. "Third level of supreme aura! Shattering heaven and earth!" Lin Feng shouted coldly. Then, the supreme aura was released. It was the same as the Space Shackle. Lin Feng's supreme aura. It was an indiscriminate attack. Anyone who was enveloped by the supreme aura. They would be attacked by the supreme aura. Bang! 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 A series of violent collisions suddenly rang out. The great emperors who were attacked by the supreme aura. They couldn't resist the terrifying power. Their bodies. It directly exploded. He turned into a bloody mist. "Oh my God, how is this possible?" The rest of them looked emperors were looking as if they had seen a ghost. It was a young human cultivator. Killed an Emperor realm expert. It was so easy. It was unbelievable. If someone told them about this, no one would believe it. However, now all of this. They saw it with their own eyes. They had no choice but to believe it. Whoosh! Lin Feng didn't stop. He locked on to his next target. He rushed forward quickly. The cultivator that Lin Feng locked onto. It was a cultivator from the God-eating demon clan. Lin Feng could refine the God-eating demon into a God-eating fruit. And the God-eating fruit contained the power of the law. Once refined, Lin Feng's battle strength. It would soar greatly. The Emperor realm expert from the God-eating demon clan suddenly changed his expression when he saw Lin Feng. He wanted to quickly dodge Lin Feng's attack. However, he had been locked onto by Lin Feng. There was no way to avoid it. Therefore, he had to choose to fight Lin Feng head-on. "Demon swallows heaven and earth!" The God-eating demon clan expert shouted coldly and evolved a huge black hole world. That black hole world. It swallowed Lin Feng. 9 heavens 10 earths! I, the unique and righteous! Lin Feng shouted coldly. He directly used the 9 heavens 10 earths technique. This divine ability. Its power was extremely terrifying. It was used by Lin Feng. Immediately, it displayed an almost heaven-defying battle strength. The divine ability of the God-eating demon clan expert was instantly shattered by Lin Feng's 9 heavens 10 earths technique. Then, Lin Feng's attack directly bombarded the body of the God-eating demon clan expert. The body of the God-eating demon clan expert directly exploded. It turned into a bloody mist. Lin Feng opened his big hand and directly compressed all the bloody mist into a bloody energy ball. Then, that bloody energy ball. It turned into a god-eating fruit. An Emperor Realm god-eating fruit. This is great. After refining it, my battle strength will greatly increase. Lin Feng's face revealed a happy expression. This kid is cruel. I'll kill him. High Priest, you hold back Queen Lilicia. Jin Daoyuan couldn't help but shout in a deep voice. Okay, the High Priest said with a gloomy expression. Originally, this battle. It should have been easily resolved. But Lin Feng's appearance caused this battle. An unforeseen event occurred. The High Priest gnashed his teeth in hatred towards Lin Feng. The rest of the Emperor Realm experts didn't dare to approach Lin Feng at all. After they saw Lin Feng's means, they were all killed until their hearts trembled. How could they dare to go against Lin Feng? Little bastard! Your dog life! I'll take it! Jin Daoyuan's expression was extremely cold as he blasted a palm towards Lin Feng across the void. Jin Daoyuan was a peak Emperor Realm expert. This level of expert was too terrifying. Lin Feng had fought with Xing Jiuji before, so he knew how terrifying this level of existence was. Therefore, facing Jin Daoyuan's attack, Lin Feng didn't dare to be careless. He hurriedly took out the ruler's armor. Then, a supreme reincarnation fist. It blasted towards Jin Daoyuan. After the supreme reincarnation fist was activated, Lin Feng condensed all the spells he had learned, and the deployment spell he had condensed started revolving. It continuously increased the power of the supreme reincarnation fist. The supreme reincarnation fist was powerful enough. The only drawback was that it consumed too much energy. Lin Feng felt. He attacked with all his might. At most, he could throw out 5 punches. The magic power in his body. It was about to be used up. Of course, these heaven-defying supernatural powers did consume a lot of magic power. Not only the supreme reincarnation fist, but any other heaven-defying supernatural powers consumed an incomparably terrifying amount of magic power. However, such a huge consumption, and the battle strength that erupted, it was proportional. Lin Feng's supreme reincarnation fist and Jin Daoyuan's palm collided. Instantly, Lin Feng felt it. A power that could topple mountains and overturn seas surged over. He was sent flying. You're not a peak holy emperor! Peak holy emperor! You don't have such powerful battle strength! Lin Feng looked at Jin Daoyuan with a gloomy expression. Jin Daoyuan sneered. Peak holy emperor is already a thing of the past. I'm already at the quasi-emperor lord level. Haven't you heard that there are a few holy emperors from the myriad races who want to break through to the emperor lord realm? And I'm one of the holy emperors. This time, I came to the Sand Race and opened the Sand Race's holy tower. I might be able to use the opportunity one obtained from the Sand Race to break through to the Emperor Lord Realm. Old thing! You're daydreaming, Lin Feng said with a cold smile. Little bastard! You're about to die, yet you still dare to insult me. Later, I'll pull out your soul and throw it into the boundless purgatory, so that you'll never be able to reincarnate. As soon as he finished speaking, Jin Daoyuan walked towards Lin Feng, and a blazing sun condensed on his palm. Jin Daoyuan's palm struck towards Lin Feng. That blazing sun actually flew out from Jin Daoyuan's hand. Chapter 37-33. Jin Daoyuan's attack was naturally extremely terrifying. After all, this person was a quasi-emperor level expert. At this level, It gave Lin Feng a headache. That blazing sun contained a terrifying power that could destroy the heavens and the earth. Lin Feng hurriedly took out all kinds of powerful magic treasures. They blasted towards that blazing sun. Pluto bell, stone sword, 9 demons painting, sky drum, and so on. All kinds of treasures came out. Every single one of them. They all emitted a terrifying aura. They were extremely powerful. These treasures. At the same time, they collided with that blazing sun. Crack! Crack! Under the attack of many treasures, that blazing sun also began to crack. Little bastard, you have enough magic treasures on you. But these magic treasures will all become my treasures in the end. After seeing those magic treasures that Lin Feng took out, Jin Daoyuan's eyes immediately revealed a deep greed. Those were all powerful magic treasures. They made him extremely tempted. Jin Daoyuan had long heard that Lin Feng was a person with monstrous luck. Lin Feng not only obtained many powerful supernatural powers. Moreover, he had also collected many supreme treasures. Now that he saw it, it was indeed so. And in Jin Daoyuan's opinion, in the past, Lin Feng's good fortune had all been for nothing. As a quasi-emperor level expert, Jin Daoyuan naturally had many attacking methods. The attack just now. It was just a random supernatural power that he used. After the blazing sun collapsed, Jin Daoyuan continued to use an even more terrifying supernatural power. Streaks of Milky Way appeared in the void. Every single Milky Way. They were all like a boundless galaxy world. Those streaks of Milky Way fell down. It was as if they could shatter space and time. They were extremely powerful. It was very moving. And the densely packed Milky Way fell down, all of them smashing towards Lin Feng. The void directly shattered. What a powerful attack! Lin Feng took a deep breath. That old bastard Jin Daoyuan was too strong. However, Lin Feng didn't shrink back. He operated all his magic treasures with all his strength and attacked the Milky Way. Lin Feng and Jin Daoyuan were engaged in a fierce battle. Queen Lilicia was held back by the High Priestess. The High Priest was also an extremely terrifying existence. This old thing's methods were extremely powerful. Lilicia was not able to gain any advantage. Instead, he was forced into a fluster by the High Priest. Battle situation. It was incomparably tragic. Puff. 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 At this moment, the sound of tearing could be heard as cultivators were killed one after another. The cultivators who were killed were all priests who supported Queen Lilicia. They had fewer people on their side to begin with. He was besieged by many people. Naturally, the situation was extremely bad. Therefore, after resisting for a period of time, there were people who could not withstand the siege of the other party. In the end, he was killed. He saw the priests who supported him being killed. Queen Lilicia's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. The anger in her heart. It burned fiercely. The killing intent in her heart erupted like a flash flood. Those priests had helped her gradually stabilize the situation in the clan over the years. They were of great help to Queen Lilicia. Therefore, Queen Lilicia treated those priests as her own family. However, now, she watched them die. Queen Lilicia was unable to help at all. This made Queen Lilicia angry. She hated herself extremely. However, the current situation. It was indeed very disadvantageous to Lin Feng, Queen Lilicia, and the others. Although Queen Lilicia was powerful, it was difficult for her to defeat the old fox, the High Priest. This old fox did not fight to the death with Queen Lilicia either. He swam around Queen Lilicia and held her back. Obviously. The High Priest, that old bastard. He wanted to wait until Lin Feng was killed. Jin Daoyuan was able to merge with him. Then they could deal with Queen Lilicia together. Jin Daoyuan also wanted to end the battle quickly because his attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. Under Jin Daoyuan's continuous attacks, Lin Feng resisted. It was also getting more and more difficult. On the other side, Queen Lilicia was also in trouble. The High Priest, that old bastard, actually released a few powerful poisonous insects. Those powerful venomous insects. They continued to attack Queen Lilicia. Under the joint attack of the High Priest and the poisonous insects, Queen Lilicia's situation had also become dangerous. She might be able to defeat Queen Lilicia without waiting for Jin Daoyuan's help. Lin Feng's face became extremely gloomy. If this continued, then it would be troublesome. When the time came, they would all die here. Kid! It seems that you won't be able to hold on for long. Jin Daoyuan sneered. His attacks were getting more and more violent and powerful. Lin Feng was also finding it more and more difficult to resist the situation. It was extremely dangerous. At the same time, the priests who supported Queen Lilicia. 5 people had died one after another. The last 5 priests were still alive. However, the remaining 5 high priests were also injured. It wouldn't take long. 5 priests. He would definitely die and his Tao would vanish. Just when the situation was extremely critical. Suddenly, the void distorted. A cultivator walked out of the distorted void. This cultivator. It was a middle-aged man. When he saw this middle-aged man, Lin Feng was shocked. Because this middle-aged man was the middle-aged man he saw in the palace last night. At that time, Lin Feng thought that this middle-aged man was a brand or his own illusion. But now it seemed that this middle-aged man was not a brand. He was not an illusion, but a real person. This made Lin Feng's face reveal an extremely shocked expression. This person's cultivation was so terrifying. In front of him, he could actually deceive everyone. It was hard to imagine what cultivation this person had. No, impossible! After seeing this middle-aged man, the High Priest and the priests who supported the High Priest all turned pale. Your Majesty! As for the priests who supported Queen Lilicia, they revealed a shocked and pleasantly surprised expression. Your Majesty? This person is Queen Lilicia's father? Lin Feng's face could not help but reveal a shocked expression. Queen Lilicia's father. Wasn't he already dead? Could it be Queen Lilicia's father faked his death back then? Father! Queen Lilicia looked at the middle-aged man in disbelief. Even she could not believe that her father would actually appear here. Father. He was clearly dead. The middle-aged man smiled at Queen Lilicia. Then, he looked coldly at the High Priest and said, Arts, I never thought that you would betray Lilicia and the Sand Race. Your Majesty! Give this subordinate another chance. The High Priest quickly knelt on the ground. Chapter 37-34. Humph! You betrayed Lilicia! You betrayed the Sand Clan! How can I spare you? Queen Lilicia's father said coldly. He was a decisive person, so even though he was a subordinate of his in the past, now that he had betrayed Lilicia, betrayed the Sand Clan, he would not hesitate. Kill the other party. I'll fight it out with you. Torrential pear blossom needles! A cold voice suddenly sounded. The High Priest waved his sleeve, and a cylindrical hidden weapon appeared in his hand. That hidden weapon shot out densely packed needles. Each needle was only as thick as a strand of hair. Furthermore, each of the needles was dipped in a deadly poison. This kind of hidden weapon. It exploded in a short distance. Its lethality was extremely terrifying. The poison dipped in it was a kind of poison produced in the body of a poisonous toad. That kind of poison. It was extremely terrifying. It was said that once it blended into the blood, it could instantly cause the blood of a cultivator to be contaminated with this kind of poison. The bloodline quickly collapsed. And the cultivator would also die because of the collapse of the bloodline. It was an extremely vicious poison. The High Priest was sinister and cunning. He had just knelt down and begged for mercy. Actually, he just wanted to distract Lilicia's father. Then, he suddenly attacked. Killing Lilicia's father caught him off guard. But this time, the High Priest's plan failed. When the densely packed needles were about to pierce through Lilicia's father's body, suddenly, the void in front of Lilicia's father's body directly distorted. and those thin needles were all swallowed by the distorted void. What a powerful cultivation! Lin Feng's heart was filled with deep shock. Queen Lilicia's father was so powerful. Moreover, he did not die back then. Why? He hid for 1,000 years and did not come out. Among them, was there some hidden reason? Lin Feng felt. Perhaps. There were some unknown reasons. Or else. Lilicia's father. There was no need to hide at all. My life ends here. Seeing that his sneak attack on Lilicia's father had failed, the high priest could not help but cry out in pain. The next moment, Lilicia's father slapped the high priest's head. A loud bang was heard. The head of the high priest. It was directly smashed into pieces by Lilicia's father. Great King, we were all bewitched by the high priest to do such a stupid thing. Great King, please spare our lives for the sake of our hard work for the sand race for so many years. The priests who supported the high priest knelt on the ground and begged Lilicia's father for mercy. They were now filled with regret. However, it was too late to regret. The deed had already been done. In this world, there was no medicine for regret. Traitor! He deserves death! Lilicia's father's expression was indifferent. He opened his hand and slapped the dozen priests kneeling on the ground. Bang! 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 They took the terrifying blow from Lilicia's father. One by one, the bodies of the oracles exploded. They died on the spot. Now it's your turn! Lilicia's father looked coldly at the group of cultivators from the myriad races. Spare me! Spare me! These people from the myriad races. They all knelt on the ground. All of them were trembling in fear. Including the quasi-emperor level expert, Jin Daoyuan. Now, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. Lilicia's father was too powerful. They didn't have the courage to resist. Now, the group of people hated the high priest to death. If the high priest hadn't told them that there were no more emperor-level experts in the sand race, they definitely wouldn't have gotten involved in this mess. But now that they were involved, there was no longer any possibility for them to escape. Everyone. They all felt the aura of death. They didn't want to die. The longer they lived, the more powerful they were. The more they didn't want to die. Because only by living would there be infinite hope. Living. Only by living could one see the possibility of eternal life. Get lost! Lilicia's father coldly glanced at Jin Daoyuan and the others and said. This decision made Lin Feng extremely surprised. He didn't understand why Lilicia's father would let these people go. As for Jin Daoyuan and the others, they hurriedly left as if they had been pardoned. Lilicia also didn't understand why her father would let these people go. She asked in confusion. Father! Why did you let Jin Daoyuan and the others go? These people deserve to be killed. They do deserve to die. However, we shouldn't defend the Sacred War Alliance. If we kill these people, the Sacred War Alliance might mobilize some of their resources to deal with our sand race. My situation isn't good and I have to leave the sand race. Once I leave the sand race, the Sacred War Alliance's resources will attack us. This is very likely to plunge our sand race into an irrecoverable situation, Lilicia's father said. Lilicia's expression suddenly changed and she asked, Father! Your situation isn't good? What's going on? Also, my father had clearly died back then. How did he come back to life? Lilicia's father said. I was targeted by some terrifying creatures, so I had no choice but to fake my death. I hoped to deceive them. Originally, I couldn't make a move because I might be discovered by those terrifying beings. However, when I saw you all in danger, how could I not make a move? A priest said in disbelief. With His Majesty's strength, what existence can threaten His Majesty? Lilicia's father said. Don't ask. I can't tell you these things, or else you will all suffer. Then what do we do now? Lilicia looked at her father worriedly. She didn't want to see her father again. She had lost her father again. The pain of losing a loved one. Lilicia. She didn't want to admit it a second time. I can't stay in the sand race for long. I have to leave now. Perhaps I can avoid those terrifying beings. Lilicia. Cultivate well. If you meet the right person, marry him. Live a happy life. As long as you're lucky. As your father, I'll be at ease. Lilicia's father smiled as he looked at Lilicia. In his eyes, it was filled with the loving gaze of a father looking at his daughter. No matter how powerful a cultivator was, the more they couldn't bear to part with their bloodline. Lilicia's mood was very low. She knew that her father was talking about her and Lin Feng. However, thinking of the danger her father was in, any feelings could be thrown to the back of her mind. Her mood, it was as if she had sunk to the bottom of a valley. Lilicia's father looked at Lin Feng. Then, he patted Lin Feng on the shoulder. Don't let her down. Lin Feng was stunned. Was Lilicia's father going to entrust Lilicia to him? Wasn't this too sudden? Our feelings, it wasn't that deep. However, Lin Feng still nodded and said, This junior will definitely take good care of Lilicia. Always remember what you said, Lilicia's father said. Then, his body became illusory. Soon. Chapter 37-35. Darkness shrouded the boundless ghost sand. Lilicia's father flew quickly. After he faked his death, he had been hiding in the stone tower for 1,000 years. Occasionally, he would come out for a walk. The last time he came out for a walk, it was because he heard about the matter between Lin Feng and Lilicia. So he wanted to see if Lin Feng was a reliable man. Now that he had made his move, he knew he had to leave. If he didn't leave, the sand race would be implicated. Ever since he found out about that secret, he knew the rest of his life was destined to be a life of escape and hiding. He would not be able to live freely at all. Suddenly, a gloomy and cold aura permeated between heaven and earth. After feeling that gloomy and cold aura, Lilicia's father's expression changed abruptly. He looked behind him and saw a ball of terrifying demonic fog rolling violently. And that ball of demonic fog was chasing after him. Within the demonic fog, a clattering sound could be heard. That sound was like the sound of chains colliding. They're coming! Lilicia's father revealed an extremely frightened expression. Someone as powerful as him. He actually revealed such an expression. It was hard to imagine. Within the demonic fog, what kind of existence was it? Lilicia's father used his speed to the extreme. But he still could not get rid of the demonic fog that was chasing after him. The speed of the demonic fog was too fast. It soon caught up with Lilicia's father. Then, a chain flew out from the demonic fog. Clatter! 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 The sound of the chains colliding constantly could be heard. That chain, it emitted a cold luster. It contained an extremely powerful force. Moreover, that chain, it was densely covered with runes. Every single rune. They were all mysterious. That chain directly wrapped around Lilicia's father. Lilicia's father was naturally unwilling to be caught like this. He raised his right hand. He slashed out a ray of sword energy. That ray of sword energy was extremely fast and slashed on that chain. But that ray of sword energy was unable to cause any damage to that chain at all. That chain's momentum did not decrease. It flew to the front of Lilicia's father. Then, it wrapped around Lilicia's father. The chain dragged Lilicia's father into the demonic fog. Hee! And a sinister and terrifying laughter came out from the demonic fog. Then, the demonic fog quickly flew into the distance. In the blink of an eye, disappeared without a trace. Sand race. Queen Lilicia's palace. Queen Lilicia suddenly felt a sharp pain in her heart. Her body slightly staggered. Are you all right? Lin Feng hastily supported Queen Lilicia. I'm fine, Queen Lilicia said. Then she sighed. Father-in-law, heaven helps the worthy. Nothing will happen to you, Lin Feng said. Who's your father-in-law? Don't try to claim connections, Queen Lilicia said angrily. Said Lin Feng. Before your father left, he asked me to take care of you. There's no time like the present. Why don't we do the ceremony today and become a real husband and wife? You're looking for a beating. Queen Lilicia regained her fiery temper. She directly took out a mace. She smashed it towards Lin Feng. I'll go. She's murdering her husband. Lin Feng immediately wailed. He quickly ran away. And Queen Lilicia's mace smashed into the air. Lin Feng did not dare to continue staying in Queen Lilicia's palace. This woman's temper was rising. It was really possible that she would not recognize anyone. Lin Feng did not want to be smashed into meat paste by Queen Lilicia. In the next few days, the sand race was not peaceful. Although the high priest and the others had been killed. But the high priest and the other priests still had many family members and supporters. Queen Lilicia naturally had to consider how to deal with these people. But these things were not what Lin Feng was thinking about. So, he also did not pay attention to how Queen Lilicia dealt with those people. The sand race changed. It greatly reduced the sand race's strength. Of course, a skinny camel was still bigger than a horse, although the sand race's strength was greatly reduced. But they did not suffer any serious injuries. So they were still very powerful. Lin Feng was more interested in the 7th floor of the Holy Tower. He wanted to know what was inside. But the 7th floor of the Holy Tower was destined to be unable to be opened. Queen Lilicia would not easily open the 7th floor. Lin Feng planned to leave the sand race's territory. The harvest here was extremely shocking. The sovereign Emperor Blood had completed a deep awakening. And his own realm. He had also broken through to the immortal Emperor realm. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. This made Lin Feng very happy. Lin Feng told Queen Lilicia about his plan to leave. Queen Lilicia did not make things difficult for Lin Feng. Perhaps at the beginning, they had some conflicts. But after experiencing so many things, the relationship between the two had eased. There was some ambiguity. But on the day Lin Feng left, Queen Lilicia did not send Lin Feng off. 5 priests, the guard commander and other people who were more familiar with Lin Feng came to send Lin Feng off. Take this stone. If there are creatures from the endless ghost sand approaching, they will take the initiative to leave, said a priest, handing a cyan stone to Lin Feng. Thank you. Lin Feng accepted the green stone and said, Lin Gongzi, you are welcome. We should be the ones thanking Lin Gongzi. Lin Gongzi is the benefactor of our sand race, the priest said. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Lin Feng bid farewell and left. Before leaving, he looked towards the palace where Queen Lilicia lived. Queen Lilicia hadn't shown up yet. Lin Feng was a bit disappointed. He glanced at the palace where Queen Lilicia lived from afar. Then he turned around. He never looked back. Queen Lilicia stepped out from behind one of the pillars that supported the palace corridor, looking at Lin Feng's back as he left. She did not speak for a long time. Her eyes trembled slightly, and her heart was not calm. He just didn't know. At this moment, Queen Lilicia. What was she thinking? Lin Feng successfully walked out of the endless ghost sand. He planned to make a trip to the town to see if old monster Yen had returned. When Lin Feng arrived at the town, he discovered that the town had been destroyed. There were broken walls everywhere. Corpses were everywhere. Moreover, those corpses had already rotted. Obviously, they had been dead for a long time. Was the town attacked by those terrifying creatures? Lin Feng's face could not help but reveal a shocked expression. He remembered that there was a temple in the center of the town. There was a statue of the giant spirit god in the temple, protecting the town and scaring away the creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand. However, Chapter 37-36. Lin Feng flew towards the inner part of the town. He wanted to see how the Juling God Temple was doing. Although the statue protected the town, it could scare away the terrifying creatures that came out of the endless ghost sand. But perhaps, when the terrifying creatures that came out of the endless ghost sand were too powerful, the statue would also lose its effect. The possibility of this was extremely high. On the way, Lin Feng saw a large number of destroyed houses. Basically, there were no intact houses. Lin Feng came to the temple in the center of the town. When he saw the temple, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Because the temple was safe and sound. It was extremely strange. The houses in the town were all destroyed, but the temple was fine. Could it be? Could it be that the statue inside only protected the temple? Lin Feng entered the temple. But he found that the statue inside had long been destroyed. The temples in the bitter cold state generally had a long history. In addition, these temples were still bearing the power of incense. So, the statues in these temples were still shrouded in divine power. This was also the reason why the temple protected the surroundings. Roar! Suddenly, a low roar was heard. The entire temple began to tremble violently. Not good! Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. His speed was extremely fast as he rushed out of the temple. When Lin Feng rushed out of the temple, something terrible happened. The temple actually turned into a monster. That monster had a huge mouth with dense fangs. Its entire body was pitch black. It was like a demon that crawled out of hell. The temple just now was transformed by a monster. That monster wanted to swallow Lin Feng in one gulp. But Lin Feng was more alert. He successfully dodged the monster's swallowing. If he was a step later, he might have become the monster's meal. Lowly human, I'm going to eat you! This monster let out a low roar. Then, it stretched out its claws and directly slapped towards Lin Feng. As the claw came crashing down, Yi Zichen was stunned. The void began to shatter. The crumbling void. It wanted to swallow Lin Feng as well. What a powerful monster! Lin Feng's face revealed a solemn expression. Of course, there was still a huge gap between the monster in front of him and the dark erosion, the blood cloud, and the huge and terrifying creature. But even so, the monster in front of him was terrifying enough. The aura emitted from its body made Lin Feng feel like he was about to suffocate. But now that Lin Feng had broken through to the immortal emperor realm, his battle strength had greatly increased, so he wasn't afraid of the monster in front of him. Space restoration! Lin Feng used his space magic. When this space restoration was performed, the space that was shattered by the monster's claw was restored to its original state. Space shackle of space! Lin Feng used another powerful skill, which was also the empty space god's legacy. The void was shackled the monsters of the monstresses of the monster's speed. Multitasking. Many treasures appear. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he summoned one powerful treasure after another. Sky Drum. Pluto Bell. Stone Sword. Black Dragon Sword. 9 Demons Diagram. 5-Wheel Dragon. Green Mountain Sword. And so on. Under Lin Feng's control, these treasures displayed an extremely heaven-defying power. It shook slightly. The void collapsed. The power was strong. It was shocking. This was the terrifying ability of doing 18 things at once. Lin Feng's attack was equivalent to 18 people attacking at once. Moreover, in the future, if he could obtain other opportunities, Lin Feng's 18 things at once would continue to transform. Lin Feng was looking forward to the day when the 18 things at once became 100 things at once. At this time, the 18 powerful magic treasures had already bombarded the monster under Lin Feng's control. Originally, Lin Feng thought that he could seriously injure or even kill the monster. However, what shocked Lin Feng was that when the 18 powerful magic treasures bombarded the monster's body, the monster's body turned into a very illusory body. What's going on? Lin Feng was dumbfounded. This monster was obviously not an illusory body, but when it was attacked, it could undergo such a strange change. Lin Feng thought of a possibility. Could it be? This monster. Could it be possible to switch between reality and illusion? Lin Feng felt that it might be true. The shift between real and illusory allowed the monster to easily dodge all the attacks. After neutralizing the attack of Lin Feng's 18 treasures, the monster opened its bloody mouth. It spewed out dark green poisonous gas. The poisonous gas corroded the void, creating black holes. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng suddenly revealed a horrified expression. The poison in the monster's body was too terrifying. Lin Feng quickly dodged the poison spewed out by the monster. At the same time, he continued to control the magic treasures to bombard the monster. However, the monster's body. It had always been in an illusory state and never returned to a flesh and blood body. Obviously, the monster was extremely smart. It wanted to use this state to fight against Lin Feng. At the same time, the monster continued to spit out poison to attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng was also forced into a panic. Although its body has turned into an illusory body, what supports the body's transformation is the power of the monster spirit in its body. Although the power of the monster spirit cannot be seen with the naked eye, it is real. Use the heavenly fire to deal with this monster. Burn its power of the monster spirit and ignite its body. When the time comes, it will definitely show its true body. The demon lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. Hearing that, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. He nodded. He quickly summoned the 5 heavenly fires. The 5 heavenly fires formed the 5 elements heavenly fire formation and surrounded the monster. Then it burned fiercely. Sure enough, as the demon lord said, the power of the monster spirit that could not be seen with the naked eye was directly ignited by Lin Feng's heavenly fire. Then, the monster's body was burning. Roar! The monster let out a painful roar. Its body changed from an illusory body to a flesh and blood body. When it recovered its flesh and blood body, its body was surrounded by a layer of incomparably demonic energy. That incomparably demonic energy. It resisted the burning of the heavenly fire. Die! Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. After the monster's body turned into flesh and blood, he quickly operated many powerful treasures to bombard the monster. The monster knew that it was no match for Lin Feng, so it wanted to travel through the void and leave. But at this time, Lin Feng used the great entanglement technique. Dense silk threads wrapped around the monster's body. The other end of the silk thread was caught in Lin Feng's hand. As soon as the monster got into the parallel space, it was pulled out by Lin Feng and Lin Feng's magic treasure. It carried the power to destroy heaven and earth. All bombarded the monster's body. Bang! The monster's body exploded. It was a purple crystal. Chapter 37:37. Lin Feng grabbed the purple crystal in his hand. Then, he studied it carefully and found that the purple crystal contained an extremely powerful and strange energy. This purple crystal is the energy crystal condensed from that monster's body? Lin Feng said in surprise. This kind of purple crystal had an extremely significant effect on a cultivator's improvement. Refining this kind of purple crystal, his cultivation could greatly increase in a short period of time. Lin Feng put away the purple crystal. This place was very dangerous. It was not a place to refine the purple crystal. And Lin Feng still had an emperor-level divine eating fruit that he had yet to refine. If he could refine the emperor realm divine eating fruit, then Lin Feng's battle strength would also greatly increase. Lin Feng flew in the direction of Old Monster Yan's bookstore. When he arrived, he found that Old Monster Yan's bookstore had been destroyed. He didn't know where Old Monster Yan had gone. There was still no news of this old monster. And the cursed doll had also disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng had always been curious about what the cursed doll was looking for. But now, it seemed that it was impossible to know what the cursed doll was looking for the time being. Lin Feng left the town. He flew towards the depths of the Bitterhan province. The town itself was only in the outer area of the Bitterhan province. Bitterhan province. It was vast but sparsely populated. Resources were scarce. In the end, it had something to do with the laws of heaven and earth here. This was the most barren province, not suitable for the cultivation of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Moreover, the environment of this province was harsh, and the terrifying creatures in the endless ghost sand would come out to wreak havoc every few years. Therefore, the Bitterhan province was an extremely unsuitable place to live. In the past, this was a place of exile. However, as time passed, many forces were formed. Lin Feng flew for a long time. Everywhere was a barren world, lifeless. It was rare to see a forest with green trees. In the end, Lin Feng stopped in a lonely mountain range. He opened a cave abode and planned to cultivate here for a while. Lin Feng sealed the cave abode with a restriction. Then, he began to refine the divine eating fruit. The laws in Lin Feng's body were rather special. Many cultivators only had one emperor law when they broke through to the God Emperor realm. As their cultivation level increased, the number of emperor laws they had increased as well. When he reached the peak of the God Emperor realm, the emperor laws would fuse together once again. Then, the God Emperor laws would start to transform into the immortal Emperor laws. When a cultivator's emperor law successfully transforms, a God Emperor law would eventually transform into an immortal emperor law. As his cultivation base increased, the number of immortal emperors and emperors gradually increased. Thereafter, breaking through to the imperial emperor realm. Emperor sect. Ancestor. The sage emperor. This was the case for the emperor lord realm. Lin Feng was different from ordinary people. After Lin Feng broke through to the God Emperor realm, he had two paths to choose from. The first path was the path taken by other cultivators. The number of emperor laws in his body increased as his cultivation increased. When he broke through to the next realm, the emperor laws would fuse into one and complete the transformation. Then, as his cultivation increased, his emperor laws continued to increase. For this kind of breakthrough, the emperor's laws changed from one to many, and then from many to one. The second path was to condense an emperor law. No matter what realm his cultivation base increased to, he would only condense one emperor law. All his power would be fused into this emperor law. This was a secret technique recorded in the immemorial dragonesque elephant art. This secret technique originated from the supreme great Tao of Taoism. One gave birth to two, two gave birth to three, and three gave birth to all things. 1. It was the foundation of the great Tao. So, when he broke through to the next realm, such as the God Emperor realm, the immortal Emperor realm, the Emperor realm, and so on, the first Emperor laws were all one. The Emperor laws that followed were all transformed from the word one. Therefore, the secret technique recorded in the immemorial dragonesque elephant art was to make these emperor laws always be one, never to be differentiated. According to the immemorial dragonesque elephant art, when a cultivator's cultivation base increased, the emperor laws would be differentiated, and the differentiation of the emperor laws was related to the increase of the cultivator's own energy. In other words, the emperor laws were also transformed from these energies. However, when the emperor laws were differentiated, they would consume energy. Once the energy was consumed, the increase in battle strength would not achieve the desired effect. If the emperor laws were not differentiated, these energies would all fuse into the original emperor laws, and no energy would be consumed. So, the increase in battle strength was even greater. This secret technique was incomparably miraculous. It was created by the supreme dragonesque elephant. Lin Feng learned of this secret technique. Without hesitation, he chose the second method to condense the emperor laws. He also broke through the second method. Perhaps the increase in battle strength would be much higher than the first method. Of course, because the emperor laws were not differentiated, the emperor laws in Lin Feng's body would become thicker and thicker. Just like now. An ordinary immortal emperor law was as thick as a thumb. But the immortal emperor law that Lin Feng condensed was as thick as a mountain. It floated above the Pill Sea. It was like a huge mountain floating in the air. It was really shocking. One had to know. The current Lin Feng. He had just broken through to the immortal emperor realm. He was only at the first level of the immortal emperor realm. There was still the second level of the immortal emperor realm to the 10th level of the immortal emperor realm. As Lin Feng continued to break through, The immortal emperor law that was as thick as a mountain. It would definitely become thicker and thicker. Lin Feng swallowed the divine eating fruit. Then, he refined the divine eating fruit. There were actually 36 emperor laws inside. This made Lin Feng ecstatic. After refining these emperor laws, his battle prowess would definitely increase greatly. Lin Feng refined all 36 emperor laws into the emperor law that was as thick as a mountain above the Pill Sea. The emperor law that was as thick as a mountain suddenly became several times thicker. The power it contained. It was also more terrifying. After feeling the increase of the powerful magic power in his body, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Refining the divine eating fruit. As expected, it could quickly increase his battle strength. Unfortunately, there was only one divine eating demon here. If there were a few more, they would all be killed. The increase in battle strength would be even greater. Swish. A light flashed in his hand. The purple crystal was summoned by Lin Feng. Lin Feng began to refine the purple crystal. Under the refinement of the immemorial dragonesque elephant art, the purple crystal gradually turned into the purest energy. The energy was all devoured by Lin Feng. As the energy of the purple crystal was devoured by Lin Feng's magic power became purer and purer. The Emperor Law also began to transform. Finally, Lin Feng's realm broke through from the first level of the Immortal Emperor realm to the second level of the Immortal Emperor realm. However, this kind of breakthrough, it was far from stopping. Lin Feng continued to refine the purple crystal in his body. When all the purple crystal was refined by Lin Feng, when all the energy was absorbed by Lin Feng's realm completed another transformation. Chapter 37-38. This purple crystal actually allowed me to break through 2 levels in a row? Lin Feng stood up, his face full of shock. The purple crystal's increase in cultivation was too significant. Perhaps he could hunt more creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand. He wanted to see if there were crystals similar to the purple crystal in the bodies of those creatures. If there were any, that would be great. He could use those crystals to continuously increase his cultivation. Thinking of this, Lin Feng's face revealed a smile. Of course, not all living beings could be hunted down and killed. There were strong and weak creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand. For example, the creature that Lin Feng had killed earlier should be a relatively weak one. As for the blood cloud and the dark corrosion, that huge and terrifying monster was an extremely powerful creature. If he encountered a creature of this level, he would naturally stay as far away as possible. After making up his mind, Lin Feng began to search for such a terrifying creature. However, it was not so easy to find such a terrifying creature. For the next half a month, Lin Feng did not find such a terrifying creature. Until half a month later, Lin Feng saw a small city. Because it was already night time. Therefore, Lin Feng wanted to enter the small city to rest for a night before leaving. However, when he arrived outside the small city, Lin Feng smelled blood in the air. His expression could not help but become solemn. Lin Feng entered the small city. When he entered, he saw corpses everywhere on the streets. It was simply corpses everywhere. Men, women, old and young. They were all killed. The other party's methods were incomparably cruel and ruthless. However, after killing these people, the other party did not eat their corpses. However, Lin Feng soon discovered that some of the people's blood had been sucked dry. Their bodies had also become hard and dry corpses. What's going on? Lin Feng frowned. He felt that the situation was rather strange. So many people had died, but why were there only a few corpses that had their blood sucked dry? And 80 to 90% of the corpses, were they safe and sound? These people who have had their blood sucked dry should be people with special bloodlines, the Demon Lord said. After all, there were too few people with special bloodlines in the world. Anyone with a special bloodline would become a super genius once their bloodline was awakened. The other party is purposefully absorbing the bloodline. Special bloodlines were the most powerful. Therefore, Those creatures with mortal blood were only killed, but their blood was not devoured, Lin Feng said in a deep voice. That's right. That's exactly it. The demon lord nodded. The other party's methods were simply too cruel. Such methods were simply outrageous. However, if the existence that had attacked was connected to the living beings in the endless ghost sand, all of this seemed to be very normal. Lin Feng walked in the deathly silent city. He wanted to find some survivors. However, there was nothing to be gained. City God Temple! Lin Feng saw a temple in the small city. It was very old and worshipped the Xingwang god. City God. In the era of titled gods, it was an amazing god. Because in the past, almost every city would have a temple for City God. Therefore, it was obvious. City God was a terrifying existence. However, as time passed, the era of titled gods ended. City God's temple was gradually demolished. Nowadays, it was very rare to see a temple for City God. Even for Lin Feng, this was the first time he saw City God's temple. Lin Feng entered the temple. There were many corpses in the temple. Previously, many people had worshipped City God, but this time, City God was unable to protect these people. I've heard that many cities and towns are protected by divine temples. Throughout the endless years, the creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand were unable to destroy those ancient cities and towns. However, why is it different this time? So many cities have been destroyed. Did something happen? Lin Feng could not help but frown as he pondered. The City God statue in the City God temple was destroyed. Lin Feng did not discover anything in the City God temple. He walked out of the Xingwang temple. In an instant, black clouds covered the sky and enveloped the entire city. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the dark clouds. It seemed that some terrifying living being was about to appear. Pretending to be mysterious. Come out, Lin Feng said coldly. Ji. A sinister voice came from the dark clouds. Next, a terrifying being surrounded by endless lightning appeared in Lin Feng's line of sight. Lin Feng looked over. He discovered that the terrifying being had a body like a human, a head like a ghost, a body like a bat, and sharp claws. It was extremely ugly. It was extremely evil. What kind of monster is this? Does it not look like anything? Lin Feng curled his lips. The monster could hear the sarcasm in Lin Feng's words. Its eyes could not help but reveal dense killing intent. Lowly living being, you dare to humiliate me? You are courting death. The monster's voice was as cold as ice. I think you are the one courting death. You should have a crystal in your body, right? It's a good opportunity to kill you and devour your crystal. Lin Feng directly soared into the sky. No wonder I felt the same kind of aura from you. It turns out that you killed a living being that walked out of the endless ghost sand and refined its crystal. Kid, your good luck will end today. I am not an ordinary living being from the endless ghost sand. I am the Demon King Subaru. The monster roared and suddenly flapped its wings. Then, its body was as fast as lightning as it charged towards Lin Feng. F***CK. So fast. After seeing the monster's speed, Lin Feng was shocked. The monster's speed was so fast that it defied the heavens. Even Lin Feng. He was ashamed of his inferiority. In a breath's time, the monster had already charged in front of Lin Feng. Then, it began to attack Lin Feng. Its sharp claws directly grabbed towards Lin Feng. Seeing that it was about to grab Lin Feng's body moved horizontally to the left. Then, he raised his right leg and kicked towards the monster. Crack! However, the monster reached out and grabbed Lin Feng's right leg. Weak. Really too weak. The monster's other claws slashed towards Lin Feng's thigh. His claws were extremely sharp. The monster wanted to cut off Lin Feng's thigh directly. The situation was critical. Lin Feng's right hand slashed out a sword aura towards the monster. The monster felt the sword aura from Lin Feng and did not dare to be careless. It hurriedly extended its claws to block. Lin Feng took advantage of this opportunity and suddenly shook his right leg. It shook off the monster's claws. Then, Lin Feng turned into a yin-yang diagram. Chapter 37-39. Lowly human, you're definitely not this king's opponent! The Devil King Subaru roared. Its sharp claws directly slapped towards the yin-yang Dao diagram formed by Lin Feng. Clang! 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 The two sides collided again and again. Every collision caused a loud clang sound. It shook the heavens and the earth. Even the void was shattered. However, Lin Feng's attack was unable to break through the Devil King Subaru's defense. This guy was simply too powerful. It was even more powerful than Lin Feng imagined. So, Lin Feng turned into his original body and quickly retreated. Subaru's gloomy eyes looked at Lin Feng and said, "Lowly human! This lord can feel your powerful bloodline. That's great. These powerful bloodlines have a huge effect on this lord's improvement. If this lord devours you, his cultivation will definitely increase greatly." Lin Feng sneered and said, "Daydreaming. Keek keek. Was he daydreaming? You'll know once you experience this lord's true attack." Subaru laughed sinisterly. Its pair of huge wings flapped. Every time it flapped, it would form a huge storm. And those storms? They were densely packed and formed by endless wind blades. Any wind blade could easily tear through the void. So many wind blades. Concentrated together. It was so powerful. It was simply unimaginable. The Devil King Subaru's attack was indeed very powerful. That terrifying storm. It surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng took out his ruler's armor. The ruler's armor covered his entire body. At the same time, Lin Feng quickly rushed towards the Devil King Subaru. When those wind blades slashed towards him, all of them slashed onto Lin Feng's ruler's armor. The ruler's armor's powerful defense. It blocked the wind blades' attack. Finally, Lin Feng rushed out of the storm and charged towards the Devil King Subaru. Lin Feng took out more than 10 powerful magic treasures. He controlled more than a dozen powerful magic treasures to attack Demon King Subaru. The Demon Abyss! Burying billions of gods and Buddhas! In the face of the attacks from Lin Feng's top-tier true treasures, Demon King Subaru once again performed a powerful mystic art. A huge abyss appeared in front of him. That abyss was boundlessly huge. The abyss was pitch black. Anyone who saw the abyss would be overwhelmed with shock. That abyss. It directly suppressed Lin Feng's dozens of magic treasures and Lin Feng himself. That abyss seemed to want to devour Lin Feng and the dozen or so powerful magical treasures. Devour everything. Situation. It was extremely dangerous. Once he was swallowed by the abyss. Who knew what terrible things would happen? Lin Feng quickly traveled through the void. He wanted to avoid being swallowed by the abyss. However, to his horror, he discovered that the abyss had already enveloped him, and there was no way to avoid it. Brat! To be able to be buried in my demon abyss, consider yourself lucky from your previous life! Demon King Subaru said sinisterly. Lucky your entire family. Lin Feng couldn't help but curse. The next moment, he was swallowed by the demon abyss. His dozens of powerful magic treasures were also swallowed by the demon abyss. The creatures in the endless ghost sand were indeed terrifying. Most importantly, the creatures in the endless ghost sand all possessed some extremely terrifying techniques. These means were things that cultivators of the same level couldn't master. Therefore, under the situation of the same level, the combat power of cultivators, there was no way to fight against those terrifying creatures in the endless ghost sand. At this moment, Lin Feng was in trouble. When he was swallowed by the demon abyss, Lin Feng discovered that the demon abyss was rapidly closing. This was an extremely terrifying scene. If the demon abyss was completely closed, he was still trapped in the demon abyss. Then, he might not be able to get out anymore. Lin Feng knew that the situation was extremely dangerous. In the darkness, he hurriedly activated the Sovereign Emperor blood. Lin Feng's sovereign emperor blood was awakened. The blade of God and his dantian flew out from Lin Feng's dantian. The blade of God. The energy blade formed after the sovereign emperor blood was deeply awakened. It was rumored the blade of God could communicate with the legendary ancient killing weapon called the Blade of God. The blade of God quickly flew towards the demon abyss. It wanted to shatter the demon abyss. At this moment, terrifying laws were flying towards the blade of God, trying to destroy Lin Feng's blade of God. However, the blade of dominion was simply too powerful. It directly cut off the laws that were blocking its way. Immediately, it flew to the edge of the demon abyss as fast as lightning and attacked the demon abyss that was about to close. Bang! It was as if a heaven-defying peerless weapon had attacked the demon abyss. The demon abyss. It directly blasted a huge hole in it. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face was filled with joy. He quickly rushed out. Lin Feng also took out a dozen extremely powerful weapons and rushed out with him. The Blade of God. It didn't slow down. It quickly attacked Demon King Subaru. Break! Demon King Subaru roared and swung his claws towards the Blade of God. Demon King Subaru's claws were extremely hard. His claws were his most powerful weapon. However, this time, facing the attack of the Blade of God, Demon King Subaru's claws couldn't block the attack of the Blade of God. Because, when the Blade of God was about to collide with Demon King Subaru's claws, it actually split into three. This was the terrifying ability of the Blade of God. This ability was called the Blade of God. It was rumored that the Blade of God could split into 99 blades. But now, splitting the Blade of God into three was the limit of Lin Feng's current ability. Clang! One of the Blade of God clashed with Demon King Subaru's claws. The other two Blades of God. Instead, it landed on Demon King Subaru's body. Pooh! Pooh! 2 consecutive ripping sounds could be heard. Demon King Subaru's body was directly pierced through. Fresh blood instantly gushed out. I'm injured, I'm actually injured. Demon King Subaru let out an angry roar. But now that his body was injured, he didn't dare to stay and turned around to escape. At this moment, Lin Feng rushed over. The supreme aura enveloped Demon King Subaru. Demon King Subaru was sent flying by the supreme aura. Lin Feng then used the supreme reincarnation fist. He directly punched Demon King Subaru's body. Bang! After receiving Lin Feng's terrifying punch, Demon King Subaru's body directly exploded. Chapter 3740. Demon King Subaru was killed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng discovered there was also a crystal in Subaru's body. But the crystal in Subaru's body, it was actually a black crystal. It was a different color from the crystal in the monster that was killed before. Of course, although the color was different, the effect was the same. This black crystal also contained a boundless amount of energy. If he were to refine those energies, he would be able to refine them. To cultivators, it would have an extremely great effect. Lin Feng kept the black crystal into his mountain river ring. He didn't stay in the small city and quickly left. In the following period of time, Lin Feng killed 3 terrifying creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand. And Lin Feng's realm had also risen to the 8th level of the Immortal Emperor realm. As his realm continued to rise, wanting to break through, it was also getting more and more difficult. When he first started to refine a piece of crystal, his realm had even risen by 2 levels. Now that he refined a crystal, it was difficult to even raise his realm by 1 level. Lin Feng's own savings were too huge. The crystal in the bodies of the ordinary creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand had less and less effect on Lin Feng's cultivation. So, now, Lin Feng needed to hunt even more powerful creatures in order to raise his realm. However, Lin Feng had killed 5 creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand. This matter had already attracted the attention of some terrifying creatures. A terrifying creature had its eyes on Lin Feng. It was a black snake. It wasn't particularly long, only about 1 meter long. But this black snake was incomparably terrifying. When the black snake first appeared, Lin Feng even thought that this black snake was just an ordinary small snake. After all, black snakes weren't rare in the forest. However, when this black snake attacked Lin Feng realized how terrifying this black snake was. This was an existence so terrifying that even Lin Feng was shocked. Although it wasn't as powerful as the blood cloud, the dark erosion, or that huge and terrifying creature, it was still a powerful being. But this black snake, he had definitely reached the level of an emperor lord. As expected of a creature that had walked out of a land of death like the endless ghost sand. Whether it was the Tianwu continent, the 9 prefectures, the heavenly sage great world, the exiled great world, or other great worlds. The land of death. It was definitely the most terrifying place. It was fine if the creatures inside didn't come out. Once he was born, it was unimaginably terrifying. Lin Feng was no match for Black Snake. He was almost killed by the Black Snake. Furthermore, he was poisoned. Even with the White Jade Toad's help, Lin Feng was almost poisoned to death. Fortunately, Lin Feng's physique was strong enough to save his life. And now, Lin Feng was fleeing as fast as he could. The Black Snake was in hot pursuit. Black Snake's eyes were filled with contempt. This Black Snake was so powerful, it was naturally psychic. From time to time, the Black Snake would spit out dense flaming arrows towards Lin Feng. This Black Snake was a fire attribute poisonous snake. Thus, it was able to unleash a fire attribute attack. And the fire attribute attack contained a highly toxic poison. "You're really haunting me!" Lin Feng's expression was gloomy as he quickly dodged the incoming flaming arrows. Although he had dodged the attacks of the flaming arrows, Lin Feng knew that if this continued, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. Because some of the toxins that had settled in his body were toxins that even the White Jade Toad was unable to resolve. These toxins required Lin Feng to personally resolve them. Therefore, he had to quickly get rid of this Black Snake and find a place to resolve this poison. Or else, the situation would be very bad. However, for now, Lin Feng had yet to think of a way to get rid of the Black Snake. This Black Snake. Too powerful. Although the Black Snake wasn't good at speed. However, its strength was there. With such a powerful strength, its speed was naturally extremely fast. This was also the reason why Lin Feng couldn't get rid of the Black Snake. Rumble! Suddenly, Lin Feng heard an earth-shaking noise coming from the front. It was like the sound of raging waves hitting the shore. Lin Feng was shocked. That sound. Listen. It seemed to be the sound of a river rushing? Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. The Black Snake was terrifying. However, the Black Snake wasn't without weaknesses. This Black Snake was a fire attribute creature. Water countered fire. Therefore, the Black Snake was restrained by water. Now, Lin Feng heard the sound of the river surging. It meant that there was a big river nearby. That big river. It would definitely restrain the Black Snake. Perhaps, he could use the river's restraint on the Black Snake to avoid the Black Snake's pursuit. Lin Feng's speed was very fast. He was gradually approaching the big river. The Black Snake seemed to know what Lin Feng was thinking. Therefore, it became irritable. It began to attack Lin Feng crazily. Lin Feng used his speed to the extreme, avoiding the Black Snake's attack. Finally, he saw the big river. It turned out to be a cold river. It was very cold. 10 miles around the cold river. It was all frozen. However, the cold river didn't freeze. This was because the current of the cold river was too fast. Therefore, although the temperature was extremely low, it couldn't freeze. After seeing the cold river, Lin Feng was overjoyed. The river restrained the Black Snake. What's more, this was not an ordinary river. It was a cold river. It restrained the Black Snake. It was even more serious. Therefore, as long as he dived into the cold river, he would definitely be able to avoid the black snake's pursuit. At this time, the black snake made a strange sound. It seemed to be chanting a spell. And Lin Feng found that the energy between heaven and earth had become chaotic. The black snake must want to launch some kind of powerful attack. Or else. This would never happen. Lin Feng's face darkened slightly. He rushed towards the cold river with all his strength. When Lin Feng was a few dozen meters away from the cold river, a huge ball of energy condensed and formed. That ball of energy was 100 meters in diameter. Inside the ball of energy, it was filled with the power of flames. In addition to the power of flames, and it also contained the power to distort time and space. That power to distort time and space was the most terrifying. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. The black snake's attack was too terrifying. If it hit him, he would probably die. That huge ball of energy exploded in an instant, and the destructive energy flooded towards Lin Feng. At this critical moment, Lin Feng used the great space teleportation technique, instantly arrived above the cold river, and then drilled into the cold river. The power to destroy the heavens and the earth erupted. Towering waves surged forth. However, fortunately, Lin Feng escaped into the cold river one step ahead of time. Therefore, he avoided the black snake's terrifying attack. Seeing Lin Feng disappear, the black snake let out a series of sharp and ear-piercing cries. This terrifying existence was exceptionally angry. The black snake continuously spat out several huge balls of energy at the cold river to vent the anger in his heart. But those balls of energy were unable to destroy this cold river that was thousands of meters wide. It only set off a few huge waves. The black snake glanced at the cold river with a gloomy expression. Then, no longer staying. Chapter 37:41. Rumble! Rumble! In the gloomy forest, a group of cultivators rode on strange beasts and came through the sky. Loud sounds came from heaven and earth. It was extremely shocking. Every giant beast was incomparably terrifying, and their aura was suffocating. And there was actually a cultivator sitting on each of those giant beasts. There were men and women, old and young. Among these people, there were two unfathomable experts. The first person was a purple-robed old man. The second person was a beautiful woman in white. In addition, there were a few middle-aged cultivators who were also extremely powerful. The dozen or so junior cultivators were also not ordinary people. These people, they came from the Nine Saints Immortal Sect. The Nine Saints Immortal Sect was a famous force in the Bitter Cold State. It was one of the 9 major forces in the Bitter Cold State. It was said that the current king of the Bitter Cold State's Despair Divine Kingdom joined the Nine Saints Immortal Sect to cultivate when he was young. And the reason why this king was able to become the king of the Despair Divine Kingdom was because of the Nine Saints Immortal Sect. It was inseparable from the support of the Nine Saints Immortal Sect. Among the 9 major forces, the Nine Saints Immortal Sect was definitely one of the top forces. "Where are we now?" the old man in the lead asked. "Reporting to my lord. This is the distance from Yang City. It's not too far," a middle-aged cultivator said. The old man nodded. This group of people galloped in the forest. When ordinary beasts saw this group of people, they would hide as far away as possible, not daring to get close at all. When night fell, these people stopped to rest in a forest near the cold river. Splash! Suddenly, a cultivator walked up from the cold river. "There are demons in the cold river!" These people all stood up. Their expressions couldn't help but become slightly serious. It was said that there were some terrifying demons living in the cold river. It was terrifying. It wasn't much weaker than the creatures in the endless ghost sand. This was just a rumor. No one had seen it before. Of course. Perhaps someone had seen it before. But the cultivators who had seen the cold river demons had already been killed by the cold river demons. Naturally, the news about the great demon of Frigid River would not spread. "It's not a great demon of Cold River, it's a human cultivator," the beautiful woman in white said. The others heaved a sigh of relief. A young cultivator said, "The great demon of the frigid river is just a legend, it can't be taken seriously." At this time, a beautiful female cultivator spoke up. "Why did this brat jump into the cold river? Could it be that he was cultivating in the frigid river? It is said that the frigid river's water temperature is several thousand degrees below zero. Even a powerful cultivator would be severely injured by the cold water. Why did this kid jump into the frigid river? Maybe he's cultivating an ice attribute divine ability." Another tall female cultivator said. Lin Feng glanced at the group of people in the distance. He ignored them and walked straight into the distance. "Wait a moment, little friend," the old man suddenly said. "Is something the matter?" Lin Feng looked at the old man faintly. The old man said, "The creatures in the endless ghost sand have already walked out of the endless ghost sand. It's very dangerous at night. Little friend, why don't you stay with us? We can take care of each other. What do you think, little friend?" Everyone was very shocked. They were very familiar with this elder. They were very familiar with him. This elder's name was Lu Tanshan. Although he was not a snobbish person. However, not everyone could associate with a powerhouse of his level. Ordinary. Lu Tanshan only interacted with people of the same generation. But now, Lu Tanshan actually took the initiative to express goodwill to a young cultivator. This made the cultivators of the Nine Saints Immortal sect look at each other in dismay. They did not know why Elder Lu Tanshan would do this. The beautiful woman in white looked at Lin Feng and could not help but frown. "Not interested," Lin Feng said indifferently. Then, he walked into the distance without looking back. Seeing Lin Feng reject Elder Lu Tanshan's invitation with such an indifferent attitude, the group of cultivators of the Nine Saints Immortal sect were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped. That kid! He seemed to be only at the Immortal Emperor realm. That kind of cultivation, when compared to them, was far inferior, let alone compared to Elder Lu Tanshan. However, in the face of Elder Lu Tanshan's invitation, he actually rejected it with such an indifferent attitude. He did not give Elder Lu Tanshan any face. Wasn't this too arrogant? "Kid! Stop right there!" Immediately, one of the young Sky Pride shouted. He looked coldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the young genius indifferently and said, "What? What's the matter?" Seeing Lin Feng's indifferent expression, Lin Feng's expression clearly did not put him in his eyes. The young Heaven's Pride was instantly enraged. He was about to say something. But at this time, Lu Tanshan reprimanded. "Don't talk too much. Otherwise, you will be punished by the sect rules." Hearing this, the young Heaven's Pride was startled. He quickly shut his mouth, not daring to say another word. Lin Feng turned around. He left into the distance. When Lin Feng's figure could no longer be seen, Lu Tanshan retracted his gaze. "Senior brother Lu, why are you so tolerant of that kid?" the beautiful woman in white asked doubtfully. Lu Tanshan said, "That kid gives me a very strange feeling." "Very strange? What do you mean?" the beautiful woman in white asked curiously. Lu Tanshan frowned. "It's an indescribable feeling. Although that kid looks ordinary, when I look at him, I feel an extremely oppressive feeling." "How is that possible?" "Senior brother Lu is a fifth heavenly layer Saint Emperor. How can you feel an oppressive aura from that kid?" the beautiful woman said in disbelief. The rest of the people's expressions changed greatly. They could not believe it. Because Lin Feng was too young. A fifth heavenly layer Saint Emperor expert felt an oppressive aura from an extremely young cultivator. Was that possible? Although Lin Feng was young, he was already an immortal emperor. However, in front of Lu Tanshan, who was a Saint Emperor, this realm was nothing. A female cultivator said, "Is it because we encountered a few creatures that came out of the endless ghost sand? In order to protect us, Marshal Uncle Lu was too tired after the continuous battles, so he had an illusion." Lu Tanshan said, "Perhaps." Then he said, "You are the future hope of the Nine Saints Immortal sect. You must cultivate well. I hope that one day, When you have the strength to fight against those terrifying creatures, I will be relieved. Hee, Martial Uncle, don't worry. With our talent, we will reach that level sooner or later. When that time comes, if we encounter creatures from the endless ghost sand, we won't need Martial Uncle to protect us anymore. At that time, we can clean up those blind things for Martial Uncle. A young genius said confidently. The group laughed and chatted for a while. When the darkness completely fell, they withdrew their auras and stopped talking. Chapter 3742. Lin Feng didn't care about the cultivators from the Nine Saints Immortal sect at all. They were a bunch of strangers. Lin Feng couldn't be bothered to care about them. Lin Feng found a secluded place and set up a concealment restriction. Then, he entered the restriction to expel the poison. The black snake's poison was extremely terrifying. Even the white jade toad couldn't completely detoxify it. Luckily, Lin Feng's body was strong enough. In addition, he had the undying bloodline. Otherwise, he would have died many times over. Lin Feng planned to use the heavenly fire to refine the poison in his body. Purple earthcore fire, black flame god incinerating fire, hellfire, golden dragon divine flame, and black flame god devouring fire. The 5 heavenly fires were activated. Instantly, the temperature in his body became scorching hot. Under Lin Feng's control, the 5 heavenly fires entered Lin Feng's body and wrapped around the poison in Lin Feng's body. Next, the 5 heavenly fires burned fiercely. As the heavenly fires burned, the poison in Lin Feng's body was gradually refined. After about 6 hours, the poison in Lin Feng's body was finally completely refined. Yang City wasn't a particularly large city. In the bitter cold state, it could only be considered a medium-sized city. The city lord of Yang City was very famous. Everyone knew who she was. Because the city lord of Yang City was called Meng Bingling. This woman. She was one of the top 10 beauties of the bitter cold state. She came from the hell-suppressing immortal sect of the bitter cold state. The 9 Saints Immortal sect was such a strong force, but they didn't dare to say that they were the strongest force in the bitter cold state. The reason was the existence of the hell-suppressing immortal sect. The hell-suppressing immortal sect was also a force with a long history and an extremely strong foundation. The disciples of the 9 Saints Immortal sect and the hell-suppressing immortal sect had been fighting for many years. However, no one could convince the other. However, every few years, the 9 forces would hold a martial arts competition between their disciples. The outstanding disciples of the 9 forces would gather together. Then, the first place would be decided. In the many battles, the disciples of the 9 Saints Immortal sect and the hell-suppressing immortal sect were the most number one. It was hard to tell who was stronger. Meng Bingling's father was the nephew of the Genu Immortal Sect's sect master. Therefore, Meng Bingling's background was extremely noble. Such a noble background. In addition, he had top-notch talent and strength. She was the most beautiful woman in the world. One could imagine just how many people in bitter cold state were chasing after Meng Bingling? Although Yang City wasn't a big city, it was bustling with activity. Perhaps it was impossible to see so many top-notch geniuses in any city. Many top prodigies had gathered in Sun City because of Meng Bingling. Many people wanted to win her heart, but so far, no one had succeeded. The reason why everyone chased after Meng Bingling was not just because of her looks. Actually, there was another big reason. That was, strictly speaking, she was the first successor of the Genu Immortal sect. Why did he say that? There was a reason for that. Meng Bingling's father was poisoned many years ago. His body was in a bad condition, and he no longer had the energy to manage the Genu Immortal sect. The sect leader of the Genu Immortal sect was the uncle of Meng Bingling's father. When he was young, he was wholeheartedly focused on cultivation and had no interest in love. So he had no children. In the next generation, only Meng Bingling's father was his nephew. And Meng Bingling's father only had one daughter, Meng Bingling. So, in the future, the power of the Genu Immortal sect would definitely fall into Meng Bingling's hands. Whoever married Meng Bingling would have at least half of the power of the Genyu immortal sect in the future. Of course, if the husband and wife were in love. Maybe Meng Bingling would give the position of sect leader to her husband. This was also very likely to happen. Therefore, even though the other 9 of the top 10 beauties of the Bitterhan province all came from extraordinary backgrounds and were outstanding beauties. However, the attractiveness of cultivators. It was far from being comparable to Meng Bingling. Whoever married Meng Bingling would not only get the beauty. Moreover, in the future, he would basically be the master of the Genyu immortal sect. After Lin Feng came to Yang City, he heard all kinds of things about Meng Bingling. It seemed. The cultivators here. As long as they had time. The topic of discussion would always revolve around Meng Bingling. Lin Feng didn't have much interest in this Meng Bingling. Because after all, he was just passing by. He didn't want to have anything to do with Meng Bingling. After arriving at Yang City, Lin Feng first found an inn to stay in, then washed up and changed into a clean set of clothes. After inquiring about the famous restaurants here, Lin Feng went straight to the restaurant. This could be considered one of Lin Feng's little hobbies. Everywhere he went, it was necessary to try the delicacies here. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that Lin Feng had tasted all the delicacies in the world. Heaven Immortal Tower. This was one of the most lively restaurants in Yang City. It was said that the boss of the Heaven Immortal Tower was a woman, and an extremely beautiful woman. Some people said that the beauty of the Heaven Immortal Tower's boss was not inferior to Meng Bingling. So, many people liked to go to the Heaven Immortal Tower to eat. If they were lucky, they could even meet the boss of the Heaven Immortal Tower. And according to those cultivators who saw the appearance of the boss of the Antenna Tower, a woman like the boss of the Heaven Immortal Tower simply didn't look like a woman of the mortal world. She was like a fairy of the 9 heavens immortal world. It was unforgettable. When Lin Feng arrived at the Heaven Immortal Tower, he found that it was indeed very lively. He wanted to find a seat. It was an extremely difficult thing. Lin Feng waited for a while and just happened to see a table by the window leave, so he walked over. His luck was quite good. He actually waited for such a good seat. Lin Feng asked the waiter to clean up the table. Then he sat on the chair and began to order. Lin Feng ordered a table full of delicious dishes and a pot of good wine. After the dishes were served, then he drank while enjoying the food. It was really a great enjoyment. At this moment, there was a conflict at the next table. The cause was because the previous table left. 4 cultivators came here, and after the waiter cleaned up, the 4 of them sat down. Of the 4 cultivators, 2 were men and 2 were women. Of the 2 female cultivators, one of them was wearing a tight black leather jacket, completely revealing her hot figure. The other female cultivator had an incomparably cold expression, as if she didn't want anyone to come near her. Regardless of whether it was the hot female cultivator or the cold female cultivator, they were both extremely rare beauties. Therefore, they attracted the attention of many people. And just as they sat down, 7 to 8 cultivators surrounded them, wanting to take their seats. The 4 cultivators naturally weren't willing. The group of cultivators that surrounded them clamored to sit together. Next, 2 of the cultivators did not hesitate to sit beside the 2 peerlessly beautiful cultivators. Their hands moved towards the 2 female cultivators' willowy waists in an extremely disobedient manner. The 2 female cultivators each gave the 2 cultivators a slap. Chapter 37:43. Those with discerning eyes could naturally tell that those cultivators had ulterior motives. Those 2 female cultivators were simply too beautiful. Anyone who saw them would feel a rush of excitement. Lin Feng was used to seeing all kinds of peerless beauties. When those who had seen all kinds of beauties saw those 2 female cultivators, they couldn't help but take a few more glances. Not to mention the others? Women were a vulnerable group to begin with, especially in a world where the strong were respected. The weakness of women was even more vivid. Of course, we can't deny that some female cultivators were very powerful. Their status was very respected. However, The number of female cultivators was simply too small. What about the other female cultivators? Even those female cultivators who came from large factions. They seemed to have noble statuses. However, many people's fates were in the hands of their families. They couldn't have someone they liked. They couldn't casually reveal their feelings. Because they were the marriage tools of their families. This world. It had always been so cruel. So sometimes, a woman had a beautiful face. Especially in the world of cultivators, it wasn't necessarily a good thing. The evil hands of too many cultivators. They would reach out to these beautiful female cultivators. If they didn't have the strength to resist their final fate, it would definitely be extremely tragic. Damn it! We let these bastards beat us to it! Someone cursed in a low voice. It seemed that they also had such thoughts. But now that someone had done what they wanted to do first, they felt depressed, but they could only watch from the side. B***TCH. You even dare to hit me, do you know who I am? Capture these two women for me. One of the cultivators couldn't help but say fiercely. At this moment someone said, Isn't that guy Zhang Yuchen from the Martial God Pavilion? Zhang Yuchen? The grandson of the seventh elder of the Martial God Pavilion? Someone said in surprise. That's right. That's him. The cultivator nodded. I heard that this Zhang Yuchen is a famous scoundrel. He has harmed many women. Someone said. Rumor has it that this fella cultivated a nourishment harvesting technique. The women he harmed basically all died because they were harvested. Another cultivator said, understanding a bit more inside information. As one of the 9 great powers, the Martial God Pavilion actually allows its disciples to practice such an evil cultivation technique? Someone said indignantly. There are so many demons in the 9 great powers. What kind of people do they lack? Many people shook their heads. They felt that the cultivator's imagination of the 9 great forces was too perfect. In this world, the strong preyed on the weak. How could there be any righteous forces? Therefore, after recognizing Zhang Yuchen's identity, many people knew that the 2 women were going to be in trouble. Junior sisters, you 2 go first. We'll stop them, the 2 male cultivators said in a deep voice. However, both of their cultivations were at the quasi-emperor realm. They couldn't stop the cultivators from the Martial God Pavilion for long. In fact, the 2 female cultivators' cultivations weren't particularly high. They were also at the quasi-emperor realm. The cultivator called Zhang Yuchen and the other cultivator were closer to the 2 female cultivators. The 2 of them didn't want to do it themselves. Instead, they let a group of subordinates capture the 2 female cultivators. But now, their subordinates were temporarily stopped by the 2 female cultivators' senior brothers. So they decided to do it themselves. These 2 people, they each locked onto a female cultivator. Then they directly grabbed them. Although these 2 people weren't good people, their cultivations weren't weak. They were both at the immortal emperor realm. Therefore, when they reached out to grab the 2 female cultivators, the 2 female cultivators who were only at the quasi-emperor realm felt the aura emitted from Zhang Yuchen and the other cultivator. Their faces were very pale. Their bodies even staggered back. Under that kind of powerful pressure, the 2 of them couldn't even circulate their magic power to fight. Zhang Yuchen and the other cultivator looked like a cat playing with a mouse. They approached the 2 women step by step. The 2 female cultivators were about to be caught. At this moment, the 2 female cultivators who were constantly retreating bumped into Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't turn around. Instead, he said indifferently, Isn't this Heaven Immortal Tower a place to eat? Such a big restaurant, and such a thing like maliciously snatching a table that was reserved by others. Why didn't the Heaven Immortal Tower do anything about it? Could it be that they are in cahoots? I didn't expect that the Heaven Immortal Tower was still fishing for fame. At this moment, a woman's voice came from the 5th floor of the Heaven Immortal Tower. This young master's words are a little too serious. My Heaven Immortal Tower naturally won't sit by and do nothing about what happened in the Heaven Immortal Tower. Look, it's the owner of the Heaven Immortal Tower. It's said that she's called Fairy Shui. Someone exclaimed and recognized the woman in the corridor on the 5th floor. That woman had a graceful figure, and her skin was as smooth as jade. One look and one could tell that she was an absolute beauty. It was just that that woman was wearing a veil. One couldn't see the woman's appearance clearly, but one could imagine that under the veil. It was definitely a peerless immortal face. After seeing Fairy Shui appear, Zhang Yuchen and the others also stopped. The Heaven Immortal Tower was extraordinary. Zhang Yuchen and the others still had to take care of themselves. Let's forget about today's matter. My Heaven Immortal Tower is a place to eat. If you want to cause trouble, you can only be chased out by the guards of the Heaven Immortal Tower, Fairy Shui said. More than a dozen guards squeezed through the crowd and walked in. All of them looked fierce. Obviously, Fairy Shui knew that Zhang Yuchen and the others had extraordinary backgrounds. So, she didn't make things difficult for them. If it was someone else, they might have been chased out. Fairy Shui handled this matter very unfairly. However, this world. It was just like that. This world was originally an unfair world. Just now, it was just a misunderstanding, Zhang Yuchen said. And Fairy Shui nodded and left. After Fairy Shui left, Zhang Yuchen sneered and looked at Lin Feng, saying, "Brat. People who meddle in other people's business don't have a good ending. Do you know that?" Lin Feng didn't care about Zhang Yuchen at all. Because he wasn't worthy. "Thank you for your help, young master." The two female cultivators first thanked Lin Feng, then said worriedly, "It's just that this time, we've implicated young master." Lin Feng said indifferently, "I'm not helping you. It's just that your conflict has disturbed my enjoyment of the food." The two female cultivators couldn't help but smile bitterly. Lin Feng was so direct that they didn't know what to say next. When Zhang Yuchen saw that Lin Feng didn't care about him, his face instantly darkened. However, he had just been warned by Fairy Shui. So now was not the time to make a move. He could only temporarily suppress the anger in his heart. However, Zhang Yuchen didn't want to let Lin Feng go. He planned to wait for Lin Feng to leave the restaurant before dealing with Lin Feng. At this moment, someone outside exclaimed, "9 Saints Immortal Sects Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua are here." A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. Lu Tan Shan. He was a 5th Heavenly Layer Sage Emperor Expert. And Fang Qinghua was a 1st Heavenly Layer Sage Emperor Expert. A Sage Emperor Cultivator was considered a top expert in all the worlds in the universe. Everyone's gaze turned towards the hall on the 1st floor. Lin Feng also couldn't help but take a look. "It's actually them." He revealed a surprised expression. Because he had actually seen Lu Tan Shan, Fang Qinghua, and the others before. It was none other than the group of people he saw beside the cold river. Chapter 3744. The arrival of experts like Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua was naturally a big deal. They were not only strong. More importantly, behind them was the 9 Saints Immortal Sect. Who knew how many forces in the bitter cold state were under the 9 Saints Immortal Sect? Moreover, countless people wanted to curry favor with the 9 Saints Immortal Sect. They wanted to establish a relationship with the 9 Saints Immortal Sect. Many people greeted Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua. However, Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua only nodded. They did not say a word to the cultivators who greeted them. Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua were so arrogant. However, everyone felt that this was a matter of course. When the cultivators in the private rooms heard that Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua had arrived, they all came out of the private rooms. They hurried to the main hall on the 1st floor to greet Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua. Even Fairy Shui heard that Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua had arrived and quickly came to the 1st floor to greet the people from the 9 Saints Immortal Sect. Zhang Yuchen and the others from the Martial God Pavilion also went downstairs to greet Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua. Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qinghua knew Zhang Yuchen, but a junior like Zhang Yuchen was not in their eyes. However, they still gave some face to the Martial God Pavilion. Therefore, Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei nodded to Zhang Yuchen and the others who came to greet them. The people from the martial god pavilion were so excited that their bodies were trembling. That was a Saint Emperor level expert. The ones who stood at the peak of the heavenly sage great world were these sage emperors. The Saint Emperors were actually nodding at them in greeting. This was too honorable. Many people looked at Zhang Yuchen and the others with envy. Because when they greeted Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei, they did not even raise their heads. But the people from the martial god pavilion had at least attracted some attention from Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei. At this time, Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei walked up the stairs, surrounded by the experts from the various major powers and fairy Shui. No wonder they all want to become peak experts. Look at Fairy Shui Yi's attitude towards the 4 cultivators who were bullied, then look at her attitude towards Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei. It's like the difference between heaven and earth. This world is so realistic. Many people began to discuss how he wished he could become a peerless expert like Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei. If he could become an existence at this level, no matter where he went, they would definitely be respected and looked up to by countless people. Just like now, countless cultivators in the Celestial Immortal Tower were looking at Lu Tanshan and Fang Qingwei. At this moment, the group arrived at the 2nd floor and was about to head to the 3rd floor. It was an unintentional glance. Lu Tanshan was slightly stunned. Then, he revealed a shocked expression. Lord Lu, what's wrong? Fairy Shui asked. Lu Tanshan ignored Fairy Shui and walked towards a young cultivator by the window. Beside the young cultivator stood 2 beautiful female cultivators and their senior martial brothers. When the 4 of them saw Lu Tanshan walking over, they actually started to panic. He didn't know what Lu Tanshan was doing here. Could it be that Lu Tanshan has taken a fancy to those 2 beautiful cultivators? I've never heard of Lu Tanshan getting close to women. Many people couldn't help but wonder. The person sitting alone was naturally Lin Feng. Lu Tanshan hadn't forgotten about Lin Feng these days. The oppressive feeling that Lin Feng gave him had always lingered in his heart. He originally thought that it was a hallucination caused by fatigue. But soon, this idea was rejected by Lu Tanshan. Lu Tanshan had a secret that he had never told anyone. This secret was, Lu Tanshan had already mastered the ability of sudden inspiration. This ability. It was a very powerful ability. It could sense danger. Lu Tanshan thought about it carefully, and realized why he felt that kind of oppressive feeling from Lin Feng. In fact, it was the ability of sudden inspiration that had played a role. Little friend, we meet again. Lu Tanshan came to Lin Feng's side, clasped his fists, and said with a face full of smiles. At this moment, the Heaven Immortal Tower that was originally venting. Instantly it was silent. Lu Tanshan, a super expert of the 5th layer of the Holy Emperor realm, actually took the initiative to greet a young cultivator. What was going on? Many people's eyes almost popped out. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Many people even felt that this was a dream. But this was what was happening in front of them. Who exactly is he? The 2 beautiful women beside Lin Feng looked at Lin Feng in shock. They didn't see Lin Feng turn around. They didn't even know what the man who helped them looked like. Fairy Shui Yi's expression couldn't help but change slightly when she saw that Lu Tanshan actually took the initiative to greet Lin Feng. She knew that she had been too hasty in dealing with Zhang Yuchen's matter. That young master must have an extraordinary background. What was Zhang Yuchen and the others in front of him? Not worth mentioning. But, just now, she seemed to have lost an opportunity to befriend him. Thinking of this, Fairy Shui couldn't help but feel extremely regretful. She began to think about how to salvage the situation. As for Zhang Yuchen and the others in the crowd, seeing this scene, they were so scared that they fell to the ground. It's him. I didn't expect to see him here. I wonder who he is. When she saw Lin Feng, Fang Qingwei couldn't help but guess Lin Feng's identity. It's you. Lin Feng turned around and glanced at Lu Tanshan indifferently. He didn't get up. He didn't have any intention of greeting Lu Tanshan. He spoke so casually. This made everyone feel like they were about to go crazy. He was so young. But, facing a cultivator of the 5th layer of the Holy Emperor realm, he was actually so casual. There was no respect at all. Wasn't this courting death? But, to everyone's disbelief, Lu Tanshan replied with a beaming face. That's right. It's me. I didn't expect you to remember me. Lu Tanshan called himself me in front of that young man? A cultivator of the 5th layer of the Holy Emperor realm called himself me? Many people were completely dumbfounded. Lu Tanshan. Wasn't he too humble? I remember. Lin Feng took a sip of wine. Then, he ignored Lu Tanshan and looked into the distance. No one knew what he was thinking. Can I sit down and have a few drinks with you? Lu Tanshan asked. Lin Feng nodded and said, Have a seat. Thank you. Lu Tanshan was overjoyed. He pulled out a stool. Then, carefully, he used half of his butt to sit on the stool. His body was also slightly tilted towards Lin Feng. Chapter 37:45. This was an extremely strange scene. The entire Heaven Immortal Tower was silent. A young cultivator was sitting by the window, drinking wine. His eyes were looking out the window. No one knew if he was looking into the distance, or at the endless stream of people on the street. A 5th heavenly layer Saint Emperor expert. Half of his butt was sitting on a stool, and then he would occasionally pick up a bottle of wine to pour wine for the young cultivator. What's your name? After a long time, Lin Feng asked. I am Lu Tanshan, an elder of the 9 Saints Immortal Sect. Lu Tanshan's spirit rose as he immediately replied. So it's someone from the 9 Saints Immortal Sect. Good. I'll remember you. Lin Feng stood up and casually threw a few origin crystals on the table. Then he walked out. Lu Tanshan hurriedly stood up and sent Lin Feng out. Heavens, who is that young master? He's so young, but he's able to make Lu Tanshan so respectful. It's too unbelievable. Could he be the successor of some superpower? But Lu Tanshan is a 5th heavenly layer Saint Emperor expert. There's no successor of any power in the heavenly sage great world that can make an expert like Lu Tanshan so respectful. Could he be the successor of some foreign power? For example, the Undying World or the 3 Paramount Realms? The Undying World and the 3 Paramount Realms no longer have such strong control over the other great worlds. So even if it's the successor of the Undying World or the 3 Paramount Realms, there's no need for Lu Tanshan to be so respectful. Then why do you think this is? Unless that young cultivator's strength exceeds Lu Tanshan's, then Lu Tanshan would be so careful. That's impossible. That person is too young, and his cultivation seems to be only at the Immortal Emperor realm. Compared to Lu Tanshan, he's thousands of miles away. But other than this reason, is there any other reason? After Lin Feng left, the entire Heaven Immortal Tower was in an uproar. Everyone was discussing Lin Feng. Everyone wanted to know who Lin Feng was, but in the end, they didn't have any clues. After seeing Lu Tanshan and the others send Lin Feng off, only then did the discussion die down. Lord Lu! That young master just now! Who was it? May I know if Lord Lu can tell me? Fairy Shui asked. Being able to get to know Lin Feng, Lu Tanshan's mood was quite good. For someone as young as Lin Feng to be so powerful, he would definitely become an expert who would roam the 3 realms in the future. Now, he would form good karma. There were endless benefits in the future. Therefore, Lu Tanshan was in a good mood. He said, Fairy Shui, it's best if you don't try to pry. Some people's identities are too extraordinary. Knowing them won't do you any good. Fairy Shui suppressed the shock in her heart. She nodded and said, Thank you for your guidance, Lord Lu. Shui understands. Lin Feng returned to his residence. However, he realized that the 2 beautiful female cultivators and their 2 senior brothers had been following him. Those people from the Martial God Pavilion probably won't find trouble with you anymore. You can leave on your own. Lin Feng waved his hand and said. If it was before, Lin Feng wouldn't mind interacting with these two beautiful cultivators. But now, Lin Feng wasn't in the mood. The current Lin Feng was wholeheartedly focused on cultivation. Of course, women were indispensable. However, it didn't mean that he had to get to know a beauty when he saw one. He didn't have that much free time. The female cultivator with the hot figure said, Young master! We want to ask you to do us a favor, okay? Lin Feng was speechless. These people were still pushing their luck? They were asking for his help again. Why? Not interested, Lin Feng said indifferently. If young master is willing to help us, we can agree to any condition. The female cultivator with the hot figure bit her red lips and said. Since he had spoken to this extent, it was clear that he was hinting at something. Lin Feng was rather surprised. They were paying such a big price. What was it that they wanted? Follow me in. Lin Feng opened the door of the rented courtyard and said. He took the lead and walked in. The two female cultivators and their two senior brothers were overjoyed. They followed Lin Feng into the courtyard. Everyone came to the hall and Lin Feng gestured for everyone to sit down. The four of them didn't dare to sit in front of Lin Feng. They stood in the hall. Lin Feng didn't continue to ask them to sit down. Instead, he asked, What's the matter? Tell me. The female cultivator with the hot figure said. We are from Numinous Treasure Mountain of the Bitterhan State. Numinous Treasure Mountain! A few years ago, a supreme treasure appeared in Numinous Treasure Mountain and was obtained by my master. However, this matter was leaked out and the evil spirit sect, one of the 9 major forces, sent people to capture my master. We escaped and have been searching for experts, hoping to save my master. However, we have hit a wall time and time again. I hope that young master can help us, Lin Feng said indifferently. Since your master has been captured, she must have been killed long ago. All of you should also disperse and find another sect to join. The female cultivator with the hot figure said. When we escaped, we brought out Master's primordial spirit lamp. Master's primordial spirit lamp is still burning and Master is still alive, Lin Feng said in surprise. Logically speaking, after obtaining the treasure, your master should have been killed. Since your master is still alive, it seems that the people from the spirit evil sect did not obtain the treasure. Could it be that the treasure is with you? The female cultivator with the hot figure hurriedly said. The treasure is not with us, but we are guessing that master might have hidden it somewhere. What exactly is that treasure? Do you know? Lin Feng asked. The female cultivator with the hot figure said. It is said that it has something to do with condensing qi. It has something to do with condensing qi? Lin Feng was extremely shocked. There were very few cultivators who could control qi, and the use of qi was self-evident. Lin Feng's supreme qi, as well as the magnetic field formed by overlapping qi, had always been one of Lin Feng's trump cards. Moreover, after mastering qi, no matter how strong a cultivator's aura was, Lin Feng would be pressured. Lin Feng could ignore it. And the reason why the 4 masters had obtained that treasure was related to condensing qi. Could it be that that treasure could help cultivators condense qi? If that was the case, this favor, Lin Feng planned to help. Because he was also coveting that treasure. If he could obtain that treasure, he would be able to condense a 4th type of qi. Then, how terrifying would the magnetic field formed by the superimposition of 4 types of qi be? If Lin Feng were to use the 1 qi into 3 pure ones, and then use the superimposition of qi, he could at most condense 12 layers of qi magnetic fields. At that time, relying on this method, in addition to the many treasures on his body. Chapter 3746. After chatting for a while, Lin Feng found out the names of these 4 people. The hot female cultivator was called Zhong Haimei. The cold female cultivator was called Nangong Lingbing. The rather dull and honest male cultivator was called Li Qishuan. The other thin and weak male cultivator was called Zhang Yunshan. Back then, the sect had suffered a calamity, and only 4 people managed to escape. Back then, they were all orphans and were adopted by the fairy Fanjin. Thus, they were able to survive. So, after escaping, they went around begging for help to save the fairy Fanjin. If it was anyone else, they might have already found a new force to join. Therefore, the character of these 4 people was quite good. At the very least, they knew how to repay kindness. Lin Feng asked the 4 of them to come to him tomorrow. Because Lin Feng planned to head to the Spirit Evil sect tomorrow. This Spirit Evil sect was an evil sect among the 9 great powers. Their way of doing things. Vicious and merciless. However, they were powerful, and ordinary forces did not dare to provoke a colossus like the Spirit Evil sect. But Lin Feng did not care. He was alone, and after obtaining benefits, he would leave. The other party would not be able to find him. What's more? So what if the other party found him? With Lin Feng's current battle strength, other than those terrifying creatures that walked out of the endless ghost sand, there were not many people who could threaten him. The Spirit Evil sect was indeed a powerful force. Lin Feng was also a little afraid of the Spirit Evil sect. The reason why he was afraid of the Spirit Evil sect was not because he was afraid of the current cultivators of the Spirit Evil sect. Instead, he was afraid of the Spirit Evil sect's foundation. However, these foundations would not be easily used. Thus, to be honest, Lin Feng did not take the Spirit Evil sect to heart. Night. Someone came to visit Lin Feng. Lin Feng discovered that it was a woman in white. Her clothes were as white as snow, fluttering like an immortal. She was born with a delicate and beautiful face, which was like a masterpiece of the heavens. Anyone who saw this couldn't help but be amazed. Even when compared to Zhong Haimei and Nalan Lingbing, this face was not inferior at all. If it was coupled with her temperament, the woman in front of him was even better. It was Lin Feng's first time seeing such a beautiful face. However, he knew who this woman was. Fairy Shui, the owner of the Heaven Immortal Tower. Previously, when he met Fairy Shui at the Heaven Immortal Tower, the woman was wearing a veil. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't see Fairy Shui's face. However, Lin Feng clearly remembered Fairy Shui's temperament. Therefore, he was able to recognize that the beautiful woman before him was Fairy Shui. Shui greets young master! Fairy Shui bowed slightly, her voice soft. Lin Feng didn't have any special feelings for Fairy Shui. Of course, he wouldn't have any bad feelings for her because of her unfair way of doing things. Most people knew how to choose between the members of the Martial God Pavilion and the 4 ordinary cultivators. Of course, even though Fairy Shui was biased towards Zhang Yuchen and the others from the Martial God Pavilion, she still managed to stop the conflict. There was no such thing as absolute fairness in this world. Lin Feng was very clear about the rules of survival in this world. Therefore, he wouldn't criticize others for how they handled things. If you wanted to win the respect of others, you needed to have your own strength. The most important thing was, this matter had nothing to do with Lin Feng. Fairy Shui. It had nothing to do with Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows. I didn't expect Fairy Shui to visit so late at night. May I know why Fairy Shui has come here? The night is long. I can't sleep. I want to drink and chat with young master. May I have the honor? Fairy Shui asked. This woman. She wasn't someone who liked to hide things. This point. Lin Feng rather admired her. Fairy Shui had come for him. She was straightforward about her intentions. However, most people would find all sorts of reasons to explain themselves. Lin Feng didn't reject Fairy Shui. Because he couldn't sleep either. Chatting and drinking with a beauty was always a good thing. Lin Feng invited Fairy Shui into the courtyard. There were stone tables and stone stools in the courtyard. The two sat down. Fairy Shui didn't mention what had happened during the day. She was clearly a very intelligent woman. She had made ample preparations. Fine wine and delicacies were all prepared and placed in her storage ring. She took them out and placed them on the table. Fairy Shui proposed a toast to Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his cup and downed it. Fairy Shui poured herself a cup of fine wine and downed it in one gulp. Fairy Shui is truly a heroine, Lin Feng said. Fairy Shui sighed faintly and said, managing the restaurant alone, facing all sorts of social interactions. Even if I don't know how to drink, I still have to drink. Over time, my tolerance for alcohol developed just like that. However, I'm still a woman after all. I can't drink too much. I can only drink a little. My mission today is to accompany young master until he's drunk. Drinking is fine. But don't get drunk, Lin Feng said. Fairy Shui knew how to liven up the atmosphere. Although there were only the two of them, the atmosphere was good. Fairy Shui didn't ask about Lin Feng's background. She drank a lot of wine and seemed to be drunk in the end. Her body fell into Lin Feng's embrace. However, Lin Feng supported Fairy Shui. Honey trap. It was useless to him, regardless of the reason. He let Fairy Shui use her honey trap. Lin Feng wouldn't beat her at her own game. I'm like a speck of dust in the mortal world. After a long time, I feel physically and mentally exhausted. I also want to find a good man. If young master doesn't mind, I'm willing to stay by your side and serve you well. Fairy Shui exhaled and said, Fairy, you're drunk. Sit down and rest for a while. You'll feel much better, Lin Feng said. He helped Fairy Shui sit down. 15 minutes later, Fairy Shui sobered up a lot. She said, Did I say something I shouldn't have when I was drunk? Said Lin Feng. That's not true. It's late at night. Fairy, it's time to go back, Fairy Shui said faintly. Then I'll go back first. I'll come back to drink with young master another day. All right, said Lin Feng nodding. Then, he saw Shui out. Won't you regret it? The demon lord teased. Lin Feng smiled bitterly and shook his head. What kind of person did the demon lord think he was? He wasn't a casual person. Of course. It was just that sometimes, when he was casual, he might not be a person. After the third watch, 100 miles away from Sun City, there was only a trace of light. It was swallowed by darkness. Endless darkness. It covered heaven and earth. At the same time, in the darkness, blood clouds surged. The darkness eroded and the blood clouds arrived. However, late at night, everyone was resting, so no one noticed. And in the endless darkness, there were also bursts of eerie laughter. Chapter 3747. The temple in Yang City was an earth temple. The history of this earth temple was extremely long. Don't underestimate the earth temple. Many people thought that the earth god worshipped by the earth temple was just a low-level god in the era of titled gods. But this understanding was wrong. First of all, the gods in the era of titled gods all had extraordinary origins. Which of the gods who could be titled didn't have great divine abilities? Second of all, the earth god was the god who controlled the land. The land referred to the land. Therefore, the earth god was also known as the earth god. The earth and the heavens were opposite. Think about how terrifying the heavenly Tao was. One could see how extraordinary the earth god was. Of course, there were many reasons why the earth god was looked down upon. The biggest reason was that some of the later generation scriptures distorted and vilified the earth god. Therefore, many people had a relatively wrong understanding of the earth god. The incense in the earth temple in Yang City was still flourishing. The earth temple emitted the power of divinity. That powerful force enveloped the entire Yang City within. When the dark erosion and blood clouds arrived, the statue in the earth temple actually sensed it. The statue of the earth god appeared. It was a tall earth god. This earth god was completely different from the short and timid earth god in the legends. The earth god in front of him was the real earth god. A great existence in the era of titled gods. Retreat. The earth god looked at the blood clouds and the dark erosion. A cold voice came from the blood clouds. The Lord who has been sleeping for countless years has awakened. Curse him! Destroy the temple! As soon as he finished speaking, a ray of curse light swept out from the blood cloud. The curse light swept directly onto the Earth God's body. The Earth God's body. It immediately trembled violently as if it was uncontrollably. Why did he wake up? The Earth God said in horror. However, the Earth God didn't get the answer he wanted to know. His body collapsed in the next moment. And the statue in the Earth Temple. After the Earth God's body crumbled, numerous cracks appeared on its body. The statue cracked. With a bang, it shattered into pieces. The idol was the core of the temple. Now, the statue was broken. Earth Temple. It would be difficult to protect Yang City anymore. What happened? Many people were alarmed and rushed out one after another to look outside. Everyone saw the blood cloud in the sky. He saw the dark erosion flying over from afar. In the end, darkness erosion surrounded Yang City. The blood-red cloud enveloped Sun City. Find that thing, Yi Futian muttered. A bone-chilling voice came from the depths of the darkness. Terrifying existences walked out one after another. These existences were all existences that came out from the boundless ghost sand. They had been hiding in the darkness for a long time. Now, they walked out from the darkness. They entered Yang City. The terrifying creatures of the endless ghost sand are here. Break through! Break through quickly! Countless people cried out in horror. The creatures in the endless ghost sand represented death and disaster. But no one expected that. The creatures in the endless ghost sand had broken through Yang City's defenses. This made everyone extremely puzzled. It wasn't as if the creatures from the endless ghost sand hadn't come to Yang City before. However, waves of creatures from the endless ghost sand had tried to break through Yang City's defenses but failed in the end. This time, how did they succeed? Roar! Roar! A low roar resounded through the clouds. The terrifying creatures started a massacre in Yang City. The creatures in the endless ghost sand were too terrifying. They weren't something that ordinary cultivators could fight against. As a result, the current Yang City was simply like a Jura hell. A large number of cultivators were massacred. Corpses were everywhere. Some cultivators who rushed out of Yang City were instantly swallowed by the dark erosion. Their bodies turned into white bones in the blink of an eye. His flesh and blood had been eaten by some terrifying creature. After seeing this scene, many people chose to break through from the sky. Huff! 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 A powerful devouring force surged out from the blood-red cloud. A large number of cultivators were swallowed by the blood-red cloud. The dark erosion surrounded Yang City while the blood-red cloud sealed the void. The division of labor was extremely clear. The dark erosion and the blood-red cloud wanted to trap and kill everyone. The scene in front of them was simply despairing. Where is the thing? Where is the thing? One after another, the terrifying creatures roared loudly as they slaughtered their way through. What are they looking for? Lin Feng was extremely shocked. These creatures in the endless ghost sand came with such a large force. They were actually here to look for something. Could it be? Who was it? Could it be that these creatures in the endless ghost sand were coveting something? Lin Feng was extremely puzzled. But he didn't have time to think about this now. He knew how terrifying the blood-red cloud and the dark erosion were. He had to leave quickly. Otherwise, the situation would be even more dangerous. Boom! A terrifying creature appeared. It was a thunderbird surrounded by thunderbolts. It contained 100,000 godly thunders as it moved towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng saw this thunderbird show its power before. He had killed many experts. Now, he was targeted by this thunderbird. Facing the thunderbird's attack, Lin Feng directly punched out with the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. Bang! Lightning exploded. Lin Feng came in front of the thunderbird and grabbed its neck. Then, he exerted force with both hands. Poochie! The thunderbird's neck was forcefully torn off by Lin Feng. Lin Feng kept the thunderbird's corpse because there must be a crystal in this creature's corpse. He quickly flew outside. From afar, Lin Feng saw a group of people from the Nine Saints Immortal sect being attacked by a creature in the Endless Ghost San. It was a scorpion race creature with 9 tails. It was an extremely rare 9-tailed devil scorpion. The 9-tailed devil scorpion forced the group of people from the Nine Saints Immortal sect into a miserable state. Poochie! 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 The scorpion tails directly pierced through the chests of the cultivators from the Nine Saints Immortal sect. Those cultivators. They died on the spot. The 2 experts from the Nine Saints Immortal sect, Lu Tan Shan and Fang Qingwei, were also injured. These people couldn't hold on for long. They were definitely going to die. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Lu Tan Shan had poured wine for him before. His posture was very humble. Lin Feng felt that Lu Tan Shan was a good person. So, Lin Feng planned to help these people. He took out the black dragon sword and flew over with it. The 9-tailed devil scorpion's senses were very strong. The 9 scorpion tails stabbed towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng's speed was too fast. He dodged the 9 scorpion tails and arrived in front of the 9-tailed devil scorpion's head. The black dragon sword directly pierced through the 9-tailed devil scorpion's head. Chapter 37:48. Thank you, young master, for saving us. Seeing that it was Lin Feng who saved everyone, Lu Tan and the others hurriedly thanked him. And Lu Tan himself thought to himself, my perception is indeed not wrong. Although this young master is young, his cultivation is powerful. As for Fang Qingwei and the others, they were extremely shocked and moved. Lin Feng stabbed a creature in the Endless Ghost Sand to death with a single sword. This battle strength was a bit too terrifying. Follow me! Lin Feng kept the 9-tailed demon scorpion into the mountain and river ring, and then said in a deep voice. He flew towards the outside. Compared to the blood cloud, Lin Feng preferred to face the dark erosion. Although, the dark erosion was also incomparably terrifying. However, Lin Feng had a way to restrain the dark erosion. But Lin Feng did not have a way to restrain the blood cloud. Fortunately, that huge and terrifying creature did not come this time. If that guy came, it would be too terrifying. To anyone, it would be a huge disaster. A disaster that was enough to make people despair. But now, there was still hope of escaping. Everyone followed Lin Feng and quickly rushed outside. Not long after, Lin Feng heard 2 screams. He saw Zhong Haimei, Nangong Lingbing, Li Qixuan, and Zhang Yunshan. In order to protect Zhong Haimei and Nangong Lingbing, Li Qixuan and Zhang Yunshan were pierced through by the sharp claws of a terrifying creature. They let out mournful screams. Senior brother! The 2 girls' faces were as pale as paper. Seeing their 2 senior brothers die tragically because of them, their hearts were filled with grief. The terrifying creature that killed Li Qixuan and Zhang Yunshan was a ghost-faced bear. Ghost-faced bear was about the same size as a black bear, but its face was not the face of a bear clan. It was the face of a devil. It was incomparably ugly. With just a glance, it made people feel as if they had fallen into a boundless purgatory. After the ghost-faced bear swallowed Li Qixuan and Zhang Yunshan, it quickly charged towards Zhong Haimei and Nangong Lingbing. The 2 girls were quickly caught up. Ghost-faced bear's huge claws slapped towards the 2 girls. The aura of death enveloped their bodies, and the 2 girls were so scared that their faces turned pale. Their faces were filled with despair. Slash! At this critical moment, Lin Feng arrived and slashed at the ghost-faced bear with the black dragon sword in his hand. Roar! The ghost-faced bear roared at Lin Feng and swung its huge claws at Lin Feng. With a loud bang, Lin Feng and the ghost-faced bear collided. He was actually sent flying by the ghost-faced bear. The ghost-faced bear was simply too powerful. However, Lin Feng did not cower. He charged at the ghost-faced bear again. The ghost-faced bear's roar shook the heavens. Its huge claws once again slapped towards Lin Feng. 1 chi into 3 pure ones! At this moment, Lin Feng split into 3. As for the other 2 Lin Feng, one of them took out 3 stone swords, while the other took out the Hell King's bell. The Hell King bell vibrated and emitted a terrifying sound wave attack. This kind of sound wave attack could affect the spiritual consciousness of the target. The ghost-faced bear was also affected. It shook its huge head, trying to make itself clearer. The ghost-faced bear had already sensed the existence of the other two Lin Feng. A defensive light shield condensed from ghost chi appeared around his body to protect him. The ghost-faced bear was truly powerful. It had many shocking methods. The ghost-faced bear ignored the two clones of Lin Feng. It continued to attack Lin Feng ferociously. In the ghost-faced bear's eyes, as long as it killed Lin Feng, then Lin Feng's two clones would automatically dissipate. They would no longer be a threat to it. Clang! Lin Feng held the black dragon sword and clashed with the ghost-faced bear's claws again. The black dragon sword was blocked by the ghost-faced bear's left claw. The ghost-faced bear's reaction was extremely fast. It grabbed the black dragon sword and slapped at Lin Feng with its other claw. However, at this moment, the ghost-faced bear felt pain in its chest. It lowered its head and saw 3 stone swords piercing through its chest. The ghost-faced bear thought that it could block the attack of Lin Feng's clones with its defensive light shield. But until now, the ghost-faced bear realized how wrong it was. Lin Feng's clones might not be able to unleash 100% of Lin Feng's battle strength, but they could unleash 90% of Lin Feng's battle strength. The 1 chi into 3 pure ones was powerful in this aspect. There were many magical powers that could create clones. But those clones created by magical powers could unleash 10% or 20% of the original body's strength. Unlike the 1 chi into 3 pure ones, which could unleash 90% of the battle strength at least. If Lin Feng's condition was outstanding, he could even unleash close to the original body's battle strength. In addition to underestimating the battle strength of Lin Feng's clones, the ghost-faced bear also underestimated the power of the 3 stone swords. This was one of the most terrifying combined magic treasures since ancient times. Although after the 36 stone swords were separated, the power of these stone swords was greatly reduced. But that was relative to when the 36 stone swords were together. But in reality, the power of these stone swords was still incomparably terrifying. The attack power of Lin Feng's clones using the 3 stone swords was extremely shocking. Therefore, the 3 stone swords pierced through the ghost-faced bear's defensive light shield without much difficulty. Then, the 3 stone swords pierced into the ghost-faced bear's body. Lin Feng also kept the ghost-faced bear into the mountain river ring. He kept the 3 stone swords and the Hell King bell. The 2 clones dissipated. Then, he quickly rushed outside. The rest of the people followed closely behind Lin Feng and rushed outside. There were also some cultivators that Lin Feng did not know. When they saw how powerful Lin Feng was, they also followed behind Lin Feng and rushed outside. Hundreds of people gathered around Lin Feng in a short period of time. Even Fairy Shui led a portion of her subordinates to meet up with Lin Feng. But there were so many of them. The target was very big. They were attacked by more than a dozen terrifying creatures. By the time they broke out of the encirclement and arrived outside the city, more than half of them were dead or injured. There were still more than 200 people left. The darkness outside is very terrifying, devouring all life, a cultivator said with a trembling voice. It's fine, Lin Feng said in a deep voice. The reason why he brought so many people was because he might be able to use them when breaking out of the encirclement. Because no one knew what was going on in the darkness. The more people there were, the higher the chances of breaking out. Follow me into the darkness, let's charge out! Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice. Then, he took out the powerful Kasaya treasure. That Kasaya treasure floated in midair, and the Buddha light that it emitted protected everyone within it. Then, under Lin Feng's lead, everyone rushed into the darkness. Just as they entered the darkness, an extremely terrifying force surged over, wanting to devour a group of people. However, that terrifying force was blocked by the Buddhist light that fell from the Kasaya. Chapter 3749. Seeing that this Kasaya had withstood the terrifying power surging in the darkness, everyone couldn't help but show joy on their faces. This Kasaya was really extraordinary. Its divinity was powerful. Everyone's confidence in being able to escape greatly increased. Lin Feng led the way in front. He knew the power of the Kasaya. However, Lin Feng still looked tense. Because Lin Feng knew how terrifying the dark erosion was. Now they were inside the dark erosion. If they weren't careful, God knew what terrible things would happen. Waves of gloomy and terrifying aura spread. In the darkness, there seemed to be some terrifying creatures entrenched. And now, those terrifying creatures were staring at them. Lin Feng didn't see those terrifying creatures. However, he had an intuition. Lin Feng's intuition told him that such a terrifying existence must be lurking in the darkness. Therefore, Lin Feng felt a strong sense of urgency and crisis in his heart now. He had to speed up. Leave the area enveloped by the dark erosion. Only in this way could they get out of danger. Everyone's speed was very fast. However, the area enveloped by the dark erosion was too large. Therefore, the group of people couldn't leave the area enveloped by the dark erosion in time. This situation was naturally extremely bad for Lin Feng and the others. The longer they stayed in the dark erosion, the worse it would be. Because the dark erosion, it would gradually figure out the actual situation of Lin Feng and the others. When the time came, once the attack was launched, it would inevitably cause a lot of casualties. Walala, sounds suddenly resounded. That sound. It seemed to be the sound of chains colliding. Lin Feng had seen the dark erosion several times. However, until now, he didn't know what secrets were hidden in the dark erosion. He didn't even know what was in the dark erosion. This was the dark erosion. It was too terrifying. And it was full of unknowns. Be careful, Lin Feng said in a deep voice. Everyone's expression couldn't help but become slightly solemn. But thinking of the protection of the Kasaya treasure, his tense mood relaxed a little. Clatter! Clatter! The sound of chains colliding was heard again. A chain flew over from the darkness. The Buddha's light intertwined and blocked the chain. And the Buddha's light caused damage to the chain. The surface of the chain actually burned. However, at this time, dense runes appeared on the surface of the chain. Those runes were very powerful and dissolved the damage caused by the Buddha's light to the chain. In the end, the chain retracted back into the dark erosion. The Kasaya is really powerful, someone said. He let out a long breath. Seeing the Kasaya, he couldn't help smiling. The Kasaya's powers many people. Everyone could rely on this Kasaya. The group continued to move forward in the darkness. His speed was pushed to the limit. But they still couldn't get out. Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. He felt as if he had fallen into an illusion. He wandered back and forth in the darkness. He couldn't get out too far. But when Lin Feng sensed it carefully, he found that it wasn't an illusion. He tried to break the illusion with the sky demon snake's eye, but he failed in the end. True and false. The dark erosion is so terrifying. This is troublesome. Lin Feng's expression became solemn. He felt that the situation was very bad. The dark erosion trapped them in the illusion, but they couldn't find a way to get out. Little friend, isn't the situation a little wrong? Lu Tanshan was a fifth-layer holy emperor after all. He also felt that something was wrong and couldn't help but say, said Lin Feng nodding. We're probably trapped in an illusion. It's an illusion created by the dark corrosion. It's extremely terrifying. Hearing that, everyone's expression changed abruptly. We've been walking for so long. Have we been walking aimlessly? What do we do now? How can we get out of the illusion? If we can't get out of the illusion, we won't be trapped in the dark erosion, right? Many cultivators discussed. Their faces were very pale. The dark erosion made them feel terrified. I have something here, but I don't know if it will be useful at this moment. At this moment, a cultivator said. After hearing this cultivator's words, everyone's spirits were suddenly lifted. Lin Feng asked. What is it? A puppet rat, the cultivator said. Then, he took out a small black mouse. However, this small black mouse wasn't made of flesh and blood. Instead, it was made of special materials. What's the use of this puppet rat? Lin Feng asked doubtfully. The cultivator said. The puppet rat is refined with a secret method. It can sense very weak auras. When we first entered the dark erosion, we definitely weren't pulled into the illusion. It must have been at a certain time that we fell into the illusion. I can let the puppet rat sense our auras. Perhaps it can rely on its sensing of our auras to bring us out of the illusion. Our auras will gradually dissipate with the passage of time. There's no time to lose. Let the puppet rat give it a try, Lin Feng said. Okay. The cultivator nodded. Then, he said something to the puppet rat. The puppet rat directly jumped to the ground and kept sniffing the surrounding auras with its nose. Finally, the puppet rat determined the location. Then, the puppet rat ran forward. The puppet rat's speed was extremely fast. Lin Feng and the others followed closely behind. This puppet rat is actually so magical? Many people were extremely surprised. Under the puppet rat's lead, Lin Feng and the others actually walked out of the illusion. TSK, 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 tisk. However, as soon as they walked out of the illusion, they heard a sinister and terrifying laughter. In the darkness, there seemed to be a terrifying existence beside them. Ah! A cultivator let out a loud roar. Something terrifying happened. Several cultivators who let out a loud roar turned into ugly werewolves. Then, those cultivators who had turned into ugly werewolves. They directly pounced on the surrounding cultivators. Puff! Puff! One cultivator after another was killed by those cultivators who had turned into ugly werewolves. Kill them! Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice. Everyone hurriedly attacked. They killed all the cultivators who had turned into werewolves. However, at this moment, a sinister voice came from the darkness. It was an extremely ancient language. Lin Feng and the others couldn't understand it clearly. At this moment, many people let out painful roars. Their bodies were about to turn into werewolves. Even Lin Feng felt that his body was about to turn into a werewolf. Curse! The other party was chanting an incantation, activating an extremely terrifying werewolf curse. Chapter 3750. An unknown existence had activated the curse. Basically, everyone would find it difficult to resist this curse. This was the most terrifying thing. Lin Feng now had a new understanding of how dangerous the dark erosion was. Facing the danger of the dark erosion, no one could underestimate it. Or else, they would die without a burial place. Lin Feng saw that the people around him were transforming into werewolves. It was the same for himself. He had to dispel the curse. Or else, everyone would not have a good ending. Fortunately, Lin Feng had mastered the Tao of Destiny. At this critical moment, Lin Feng began to chant an incantation. In front of the great Tao of Destiny, even the most bizarre Tao of Curse will lose its effect. As Lin Feng finished chanting, waves of terrifying fluctuations swept across heaven and earth. The Tao of Destiny condensed the power of destiny. When the power of destiny descended, it instantly destroyed the power of curse that enveloped everyone. The Tao of Destiny. It was the most powerful, greatest, and most sacred Tao. The Tao of Destiny could break all laws. This point. No other grand Tao could compare to the grand Tao of Destiny. After breaking the power of curse, Lin Feng did not stop. He continued to chant the incantation. When the power of destiny descends, the curse hidden in the darkness will definitely be punished by the Tao of Destiny. Bang! When Lin Feng finished chanting, a large amount of power of destiny descended from the sky and instantly bombarded the darkness. Screech! An incomparably shrill scream could be heard. In the darkness, The terrifying creature that activated the werewolf curse suffered a heavy blow. Die! Lin Feng locked onto the location of that existence, and summoned 3 stone swords with all his might. Whoosh! 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 The 3 stone swords slashed toward that terrifying existence as fast as lightning. Puff! 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 A tearing sound could be heard. Soon after, the news spread. Is he dead? Many people cried out in alarm. Roar! But at this moment, an angry roar was heard. That existence wasn't dead, but it should have been heavily injured by Lin Feng. The 3 stone swords returned and were put away by Lin Feng. Let's go! Lin Feng said in a deep voice. He chose a direction. He quickly flew over. The rest of the people followed closely behind. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sound of flapping wings resounded in the darkness. It sounded like a moth darting into a flame. At the very beginning, the sound wasn't particularly obvious, but it soon became extremely obvious. It was as if an endless swarm of insects was charging towards them. Be careful, Lin Feng said in a deep voice. Just as he finished speaking, a swarm of black insects flew over. Those black bugs were the size of a thumb and looked like a piece of black iron the size of a thumbnail. Although the black bugs weren't big, they had hundreds of claws. It was extremely strange. When the dense swarm of black bugs enveloped the defensive light shield formed by the Buddhist treasure Kasaya, those black bugs began to gnaw at the defensive light shield formed by the Buddhist treasure Kasaya. The Buddhist treasure Kasaya was extremely harmful to the black bugs, because when the Buddhist light shone on those black bugs, a large number of them directly died. But there were too many of them. And these black bugs were completely fearless as they gnawed at the light shield formed by the Buddhist treasure Kasaya. Under the gnawing of these black bugs, the defensive light shield formed by the Buddhist treasure Kasaya became thinner and thinner. After seeing this scene, everyone's face revealed a horrified expression. What exactly was this black bug? They could actually gnaw at the light shield formed by the Buddhist light. There were so many of them. So it was completely unrealistic to want to completely exterminate these black bugs. Now, Lin Feng and the others could only do before the defensive light shield formed by the Kasaya was destroyed by the black bugs. They could smoothly get out of the dark erosion. As long as they could get out. They could get out of danger. The group didn't pay attention to those black bugs. Under the protection of the Kasaya, everyone quickly rushed out. Finally, they saw a glimmer of light. The darkness eroded the light outside. We're about to rush out. Many people's eyes couldn't help but light up. Now, they were not far from rushing out of the dark erosion. Everyone pushed their speed to the limit. But they still failed. Before the defensive light shield formed by the Buddhist light was destroyed, they couldn't successfully rush out of the dark erosion. The dense swarm of black bugs directly destroyed the defensive light shield formed by the Buddhist light. Then, the black bugs swarmed towards them. Many cultivators took out their magic treasures. Under the protection of their magic treasures, they rushed out. Because there was only a short distance left. As long as they could rush out, they could get out of danger. But those black bugs were too terrifying. Many people were surrounded by the black bugs on the way. The black bugs directly gnawed their defensive magic treasures full of holes. Those defensive magic treasures were damaged. And those cultivators were instantly drowned by the dense swarm of black bugs. The black bugs completely devoured the cultivators surrounded by them. Not even their bones were left. Lin Feng's expression was solemn. He took out the ruler's armor. Under the protection of the ruler's armor, he temporarily blocked the attacks of these black bugs. The most important thing now was not to fight against these black bugs, but to quickly leave the dark erosion. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a cold aura surging from behind. He looked behind him and saw a terrifying creature appear. That terrifying creature had a human body, a wolf's head, a dragon's tail, a pair of huge wings and sharp claws. He didn't know what kind of creature it was. Its body was pierced through with 3 bloody holes, and blood was still flowing out. That terrifying creature slapped at Lin Feng with its claws. Lin Feng was shocked. This terrifying creature must be the terrifying existence that activated the curse earlier. Its curse had been broken by Lin Feng's Great Destiny technique, and it had been injured by Lin Feng's 3 stone swords. This terrifying existence had been following him all this time. Lin Feng wanted to use the heaven patching technique to dodge this attack, but he found that a strange curse power was suppressing him. He couldn't use the heaven patching technique, and that terrifying creature's attack had already arrived. A muffled bang was heard. That terrifying attack directly hit Lin Feng's chest. Receiving this terrifying attack, Lin Feng was sent flying. In the air, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He was wearing the ruler's armor, but he was still injured by it. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.